Devil in a red dress. Call 911, I'm a killer. You know I hate to confess. Bang, bang, got my hand on the trigger. The devil in a red dress. Call 911, I'm a killer. You know I hate to confess. Bang, bang, got my hand, call
For the upcoming right-hander, brake 30 meters later and ease off the pressure.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Evolution Sim Racing, and welcome to round number 2 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. We're here in our ninth season of this wonderful series, and you're watching the Split A broadcast here from the fantastic Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. You've got myself, Chaz Draycott, and the wonderful Dara Thacker in the commentary box, finally working together after sort of floating around in the same Discord for a long old time. Dara, great to have you alongside me for this one, mate. What do you think we can look forward to most here around Brands Hatch this evening?
Well, it's going to be very different to last week at Daytona, isn't it? I don't think you can get two more diametrically opposed circuits, can you, than Daytona and Brands Hatch. Much more difficult to make these overtakes work, more tight, more twisty. And I think qualifying is going to be really important tonight. Of course, last week we saw people being able to play with the slipstream all throughout the race, all through the 1 hour long race that we had. Here at Brands Hatch, 2 30-minute races means that you're going to have to make your moves when you can, but those opportunities may be few and far between tonight.
Absolutely, it's certainly going to test their mettle to say the least. This is the calendar for the series then. As Dara rightly alluded to there, they went on the Daytona road course last time out for the 1 hour race. 2 half-hour races here at Brands, with Fuji next up in the calendar. It's going to be an interesting one. That Fuji's always good for racing, and the weather could be quite intriguing, I'm sure. We've got Spa-Francorchamps for an hour-long race. It'd be blasphemy to do anything less than an hour around there. Virginia, why? Misano next up at the end of July, ahead of Manicourt, which is a circuit close to my heart. Really like that circuit. Interlagos, Road America for the full course. That's always an absolute belter. And late on in the season as well, there's certainly a lot of opportunity for some drama there. And heading over to home ground, Dara, for the finale at Silverstone. Again, another circuit where I think it's quite right to end a season there, isn't it?
Yeah, and GT Racing will do very well around there. I think we'll do around most of the tracks over the course of the season. Interlagos is one that I'm looking forward to towards the middle of August. But yeah, some really, really good tracks to round off the calendar. And I think it's really interesting as well when you have those 30-minute races and the hour-long races to really see how the drivers can build a championship in 2 different forms.
Yeah, definitely. It really shows a lot of versatility between the different drivers. You know, you have to think about the bigger picture in the 1 hour races and then show your capabilities in sprint races where you're up against the clock and you've got to make up ground, especially if you have a poor qualifying. There are over 40 personalised driver trophies to be won this season. I'm delighted to say that I am the proud owner of one from finishing the top 5 in the Teams Championship in the GT4 series a few seasons ago. I was absolutely carried by my teammate Ben Chalcraft, bless him, but wonderful, wonderful metal trophies for everyone involved here. They are really high quality stuff, and there's a number of drivers in this community that have got a lot of them. But said trophies and such prizes would not be available without the fantastic support from our sponsors, Trophy AI, Kame, the Motorsport UK esports guidelines as well for recommended communities have also recognised Evolution Sim Racing as a recommended community. We've also got SimCoach on board this season as well, as you saw the adverts for, and GP2 Group. They've always had a lot of support in this championship, haven't they, Dara? It's always lovely to get so many brands and people involved.
And when you have so many drivers on circuit and so much great racing on display, why wouldn't you get involved? It has been a great series for a number of years now, and with loads of drivers coming and going, but mainly arriving into the series. 120 sign-ups, of course, for this season 9, and with more series going on in the S-Star, not just for your Thursday night GT3s. It really means that this is an exploding community and one that looks like it's going from strength to strength. As I think we'll get on to some of the liveries in this qualifying session, Chaz.
Yeah, Yannis Albert with this incredible Penguin Racing Endeavours livery. We saw him at the start of the season looking quite spicy with a very odd looking car, but right now this is not quite the tastiest thing we're going to see. We've got a SimCoach livery out there as well. Josh Benson in the Porsche. Great looking race car again, but you see a lot of red and black liveries knocking about. John Breitenbach has always had good looking cars. Barbecue Bread Racing with the South African colours all over it. Great looking bit of kit. Same with Brabham Motorsport as well. Aidan Millward, a real star to have in the championship. But for me, Dara, it's always the Luke Lucchese boys. Luke Lucchese and his boys at RDSA Esports. Such a classy livery, and I think I don't know what it is about a stripe that's on the bonnet, but it reminds me of the early 2000s BARs.
Yeah, it's a livery that they haven't really had to change much, have they? Because it's just been a classy one all the way through, and one that almost feels like it stands the test of time. You talk about red and black liveries. I feel like sim racing in general has a lot of red and black. It used to be more, I feel, some yellows in there, yellows and oranges and whites. Now it's more red and black, but these guys have kind of been able to do the best of both worlds before and now, with the white and the black and the red. It's always looked great, and it continues to do so. You won't miss what country Brayton back's from, though, will you? Very obvious.
Absolutely not. No, if we go back to him and see it from the chopper cam, it is one massive driving insignia. It's absolutely brilliant. But you know what? It looks really good for it at the same time. I like liveries where they sort of, it's a projected image from above. You remember the DMG Mori liveries on the Porsches in LMP1 back in the day, you know, from the front or the sides, you know, it just looked like a car that was white with loads of weird black stripes all over it. But when you look at it from above, you could see the writing and you could see the overall design. It was fantastic to behold. A lot of South African drivers in the series, and one driver that we need to have a look for. Where is he on circuit right now? Where is our reigning champion? I cannot see him in the list. Is he quite far down? Sir Plug going around Surtees in the Mercedes. Flipping, it took me a moment there, but there's that many drivers. I think we've got 45 drivers tonight ready to do battle, and as we were discussing before we went live, there's a good mix of cars as well, and it's nice to see a lot of McLarens out there.
Yeah, I think we've got 49 in this second at the moment, so we've more joining in the last few minutes than we talked about just a couple of minutes ago. But yeah, loads of drivers in, and yeah, good mix of cars. We've seen some Lamborghinis come back into the fray this season. We had none of them in Season 8 in Split A. The Acuras coming to the fore a bit. McLarens, Porsches, of course, everyone loves a Porsche. A couple of Ferraris in there, a couple of BMWs, Mustangs, a couple of Audis now as well,
yes,
and a Corvette or two sprinkled in. There's absolutely loads of cars, and it just goes to show that there isn't one clearly superior GT3 for this series.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the use of the word superior over OP. I hate the phrase OP, but yeah, it's very much the case sometimes. Looking at the times then, Justin Eloff is fastest at the moment for RDSA with his teammate Luke Lucchese just behind him, just under a quarter of a second between the pair. Chris Jennings was fastest in the Pro class. It is now Chris Hewlett for HSR Esports that goes quickest in the gorgeous McLaren, but again, very red and black. We've got Glasstec Racing's Marius Hibmer in the Acura. It's a Honda in it. He's making his way up to Druids right now. Not easy to get that right at all up there. There's going to be a few little pinch points there tonight. Interesting to see that the Porsche is still quite strong, but I'm intrigued by this. Adam Watson in the BMW M4. During the pre-season where I commentated with Joe, Adam was, as always, absolutely ballistic everywhere that he went, but got himself in a little bit of trouble here and there, so I'm hoping that he can keep it clean enough tonight that he doesn't get himself in any further trouble. You may notice as well, by the way, everybody, for a bit of full disclosure here, there may be a bit of it where drivers don't appear to be on the circuit on the timing screen on the left. We have a reduced number of cars on my screen tonight because my poor little 2070 will be screaming to high heaven before the night is done, but we'll do our best to give you every little bit of the action as we go. This place, though, Dara, it's all about commitment, isn't it? We saw Daniel Hand over there right up to the white lines of the circuit, really using all the road.
Yeah, trying to find every single thousandth in this kind of qualifying session where we talked about it just at the top of the show, didn't we? Qualifying is going to be crucial here. You need to make sure that you're as far forward on the grid as possible because you don't want to leave yourself too much to do in these races. And yes, there will be a reverse grid coming into effect at the end of race 1 to set the grid for race 2. But you don't want to have to be relying on getting yourself towards the front of that grid because it means you're losing points in race number 1. But it does mean that wherever you qualify, you are almost certainly going to have to be fighting your way through some traffic at some point this evening. And at a track like Brands, I actually feel like that's only really fair with the difficulties that you'll have following a car here compared to some tracks that we will go to and have been to over the course of the last few months. But that comes very close as you'd expect. We're not seeing too many big gaps, and I mean even in the elite class there, from second down to fifth, it's just under a tenth of a second.
Yeah, it's ridiculously close, and that's exactly what we've come to expect from the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. And every single time we go racing, you never quite know who's going to be right up at the top. There's a few usual candidates, but it's always quite a mixed bag when it comes to what order they're in. At the top of the Pro class at the moment is Chris Jennings. Mikey Story's just gone 4th fastest in this absolute cruise ship of a car, the Ford Mustang. A few of them out there tonight. Funnily enough, Robin Noel Brown in one of the other ones has just gone quickest. Look at the beautiful rainbow dash livery. That's subtle. Very, very subtle. Macaulay Watkins says, no, we're not having that thing fastest. He goes even quicker now in the Porsche. But it's always nice to see, isn't it, actually, Dara? If we show the lot overall, some of the pro drivers mixing it in with the elite guys. It's not just on paper, this stuff. It's pretty mixed up.
Yeah, we see this, I think, every week with a couple of drivers in that notionally slower class that get themselves into the mix in the elite class here in ESR, and Watkins and Neil Brown doing a great job so far. If they can do that and keep themselves in this kind of area, then they're not just going to be able to help themselves tonight in the opening race, where they all have that bit of a buffer to their fellow pro drivers in behind, but also if there's only a handful of pro drivers in the reverse grid, they could still win the race and start in what would be P5 for them, which is fantastic. And you don't really get the same in elite, so that reverse grid is really crucial, particularly in the pro. And I think it's going to be a bit of a battle on this final lap in the qualifying session between Watkins and Noel Brown, with only 4 thousandths between them. Yeah,
with Ivan Tonneson just going fastest there in the McLaren. Before that, everybody within the top 5 was less than 1/10 of a second apart. It's absolutely crazy. It's nice to see Ian Stitchbury back out again, still wrestling this Mercedes after many years of lobbing this car about. Good to see Ben Bennyworth out tonight as well in the Quatermass motorsport car. Joe pointed out to me last time out that it's Quatermass and not Quartermass, and well, my face folded in on itself. But Ben Bennyworth was racing in the British Boring Car Championship last night over on my channel in the Jetta TDI at Donington Park, and having a good old time in his first race of the season. Thurtle goes quickest again. The times are really tumbling at the top, and our reigning champion, Serd Plurg, nowhere to be seen right now, really. 11th in class here, Dara. 12th overall.
Yeah, struggled last week, struggling again this week at the moment. Still some way off, even getting into the top 5, some at 0.3 of a second. There is that big gap for Thurtle, all things considered, of 0.2 at the top of the tree, but that could diminish as we continue in this session. That time still coming in, Andrew Dawson putting it up into the top 5 as well. But yeah, I think particularly for the likes of for Plurg, down out in P14 as Jans Robert goes to P11, which is I think slightly off of where he'd expect to be. Kind of keeping an eye on his rivals from last season could be crucial. You never really know coming into a new season who's going to be able to keep consistency up when it comes to pure pace, but you can't really win a championship on consistency if you qualify on P15, can you?
No, exactly, and I'm glad you finished that sentence with P15, because I recently broadcasted a GT4 championship where the driver that won the championship's best result all season was 3rd place, and somehow didn't win any races, although there was only one driver all season that won more than one race. Actually, it was a remarkable championship, and yeah, again, consistency is what won that one. Kalle Leskinen in the number 1 BMW, looks like a chalkboard that someone spilt some crayons on. It's currently circulating. Lovely looking car, I must admit. I do like the livery as much as I take the mick out of it, but he doesn't wear that number 1 with merit, does he? That's more of an ego thing than anything else. He's not reigning champion of either class, but it's certainly an interesting looking car, the M4. Me and my good friend Ed May, who I usually commentate with, have a good argument about this car a lot. Dara, what are your opinions on the M4 and its, well, I'm just going to say looks?
I think it's fine. I quite like the M4. I feel like it's almost come into its own of late, and there's a couple of cars that look a little bit blockier, and of course there's a couple of cars that look a bit sleeker. But I feel like it does enough of both for me to warrant a good mark. I'd give it a good 7, I'd say.
Well, over the course of this season, I'm going to corrupt your mind, and by the end of it, you'll hate the front end as much as I do. Me and Ed had a good old giggle about the fact that if you went too quickly on the school run in one of those things, you'd probably end up with about 5 children in the front grille by the time you got home, because it's just an absolute monster. Still, all in good fun. Danny Phillips on screen right now, 12th in class at the moment. We've got a couple of drivers still really far down in their classes. Luke King, that was a nice transition, 40th overall, 21st in class, and Ignace Vinciszewski is currently down in 22nd in class. So is it just the Mercedes not working around here tonight? I mean, the highest place of them is Serd Plurg in 17th overall.
Yeah, and even Liam Fraser in the pro class in that Mercedes, down in 22nd in class, exactly where we'd expect him. He was on for a couple of race wins in Season 8, had it not been for some dodgy Wi-Fi connection. So the Mercedes not working too well here. But Porsches are looking like they're working well, and that's kind of to be expected, isn't it? This is the kind of circuit that I feel like the Porsche's made for. Good rear ends needed. You don't necessarily need that top end speed to carry you through the lap. So the likes of Thurtle, Perry, Dawson are going to be very happy. But McLaren's doing well as well.
Yeah, we all love a good rear end, don't we? But at the moment, it is Tim Perry making use of his rear end to shimmy along. 3rd place at the moment. He's ahead of Andrew Dawson in the Sim Coach Porsche. Top 6, all Porsches and McLarens. Adam Watson, the first non-Porsche or McLaren, as Justin Eloff wrangles around a Lamborghini again. That 5.2 litre V10 making a wonderful racket, as it so often does. We'll just go and listen on the left rear for a minute here as he heads down Pilgrim's Drop, up through the gears. But it's a car that always looks heavy. It always looks like it's a bit of a machine to wrangle. You know, you have to properly fight this car. Doesn't look like it's as quick and as nimble as something like the R8 or the McLaren, for example. But it just gets the job done, doesn't it, in the right hands?
It does, and at brand, it's pretty important to get it done in the right hand, particularly on that GP loop.
Yeah.
And so it's a car of strong choice around here, and we're seeing how it's working out so far. I am interested as well with the Lamborghinis that have come back to the series. Of course, they were away for a couple of seasons, but now it seems like Ulbert, Alof, James Hayworth as well picking it back up. And I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure why. Not against it at all, but they disappeared and they've come back. And yeah, I don't really know. Don't know why they disappeared in the first place.
Another car that's not doing so well at the moment, with a number of them out there, is the Corvette, the Joshua Ness Axis Sim Sports car. I think, is it just Axis that are running it? No, DXT. Josh Ostick is driving the car as well. We've got David Hutchison, the Scots, in this fantastic livery. But for me, the Corvette, I don't know, it looks like an RC car. You know, when they've got them really small, very light, flimsy plastic bodies they put over a really dinky interior. Just looks like it's made of plastic and it's going to weigh about as much as a piece of paper. But that makes it look twitchy on the road. You can see it bouncing around there over the curb for David. Not an easy car to drive by the look of it. You see a lot of these things spinning, and I know in the early days of it, when people got used to it coming to the service, it was certainly a handful. There is a qualifying session going on with times instead of us just gawping at cars, but Arthur Thurtle has gone fastest at the moment. In the Pro class, it's Macaulay Watkins, as the Corvette proves us right that it's a handful.
Yeah, it's not looking the easiest to drive, is it? And I mean, considering that the highest placed car in class, in that Pro class, is 18th.
Yeah.
For these Corvette, it's not looking exactly great to handle at the moment. I am interested because, of course, having since removed the cap in the number of laps that you can do in a singular session on this Thursday night, it used to be that you could only complete 4 full laps. It's now, that cap's now been removed, which means you can run towards the end of the session. You know, drivers really going out there for relatively long stints. You know, we've got the likes of Josh Benson, who's currently 6th in that elite class, who's just had lap time, going on to what is now his 10th lap of the session. Same can be said for Justin Eloff as well. So lots of laps being set, and if nothing else, a bit of practice getting put in for some of these drivers. The split between the elites and the pros is also really interesting as well, with Watkins having about a quarter of a second ahead of anybody else, because he's now put himself into a position where he is, you know, inside the top 10 overall, and with quite a few cars now between himself and anybody else in his own class.
Yeah, he's going to be feeling pretty confident of, well, after seeing where the other guys are anyway, he's going to certainly have his chin held high. Thimpar in the YouTube chat saying, I can confirm the Chevy is awful at Brands. The timing screen has confirmed that indeed. Not many Ferraris tonight. Christopher Starsmore, the only one actually. See if we can get him on screen. No, he's actually has been in the pit lane and has left the circuit for now. We'll go back to Liam Fraser. He's a driver you mentioned before, actually, Dara. Not quite getting on as he would like so far, after being potentially a race winner on multiple occasions. 13th in his class at the minute, 34th overall on the road, and some 7/10 of a second to find here in the last 5 minutes.
Not really how much time you want to find in the last few minutes, is it?
No.
You're going to be giving it a bit more of an easy task, but that's what he's faced with, as we have only, 4.25 minutes now left in this session. And of course, when the timer hits 0, that is the end of the session. So realistically, you could imagine your normal checkered flag being flown about 1 minute 21. At that point, if you're on a lap, whichever lap you finish next is going to be it for your session. You're not going to be able to get 2 more laps in, so that's kind of where we're at. But only, 2-3 laps maybe that the drivers can get in. Liam Fraser definitely one that needs to pop a faster time in if he wants to get himself towards the sharp end. But yeah, let's see if he can do so. It doesn't look like he's necessarily going to be too close, but he has been improving over the course of the lap. P13 changes into, as we wait for the time, P12.
Oh.
It's an improvement. It's not the biggest one, though.
No, half a tenth of a second better for Liam Fraser. He'll be a little bit beaten up by that one because it looked like he was really pushing. Adam Wilson-Weir seems to be on a bit of a run at the moment to improve his time. Does he do so as he crosses the line? Not sure he will do. I'll have to wait and see if he pops up the board. He was 9th earlier, and no, he does not. We look here, though, at Dan Handover. 2nd place for Brabham Motorsport. The reinforcements have arrived. We've got him in the elite class and his teammate Aidan Millward in the pro class for Brabham in the McLarens. A move up there by Mikey Story for HSR in the Mustang, and now it's run out of fuel. He goes up into 2nd place, under 2 tenths off the leader, which is Macaulay Watkins for Sim Coach. This is one of the other HSR cars, but this is one of the elite cars, Lewis Kenyon. Not sure if he's in relation to Martin, but another black and red car to get our heads around. And again, using all of the road through there. That looked really tidy before Stirling's, but maybe a bit too much grass there.
Yeah, eating a bit of dirt when you don't really want to on a time lap like this. Through the final corner comes Lewis Kenyon. You said Martin Kenyon there. Let's see, can he jump up from P16? I think most drivers have finished their sessions. A lot of them in the pit lane. Unlikely to see them out again. Can Kenyon improve and not give time for anybody else? No, seems to be the answer. Stays in P16. Just under a second off the pace. But to have, 18 drivers in the elite class within a second really shows how competitive this grid's going to be. And even with that, you can add about, 8 cars in from the pro class as well. So we've got about, at least half the grid within a second of the overall pole time.
Yeah, it's really, really good, that, isn't it? Just shows you as well how close it is. Not just between one class and then the other, but the whole field in one big group, actually. If we look at them again overall, you can see all the way down to, Luke King, who we're looking at right now, actually. Luke King. It's a second and 3 thousandths down to 27th place overall. The whole field is only separated by about 2.4 seconds. It's absolutely ridiculous. So these guys certainly showing that they are the cream of the crop, so to speak. There are 2 broadcasts on, don't forget. We do have our very good mate Paul Walsh doing the B-split broadcasts this season. Joe is off sunning himself again somewhere, as he always is, spreading the love and showing everybody that fantastic accent all around the world. I don't know where he's off to this time around. I think he's doing. Didn't he say he's doing a tour of Europe or something? I think he said he was going to Lithuania, but I hope it's as warm there as it has been here in the UK for the last few days. Flipping out.
Well, actually, hopefully, maybe not as warm as it has been.
Well, yeah, it's probably a lot more comfortable actually if it's not.
Yeah.
I don't normally have the fan on, but flipping heck, I'm sweltering tonight. Dan Handover does a purple final sector. He's sweltering there, but it's not enough of an overall improvement to go to the top. It's a 121.25, but he's committed here, Dara. He's absolutely throwing the thing around, trying to just squeeze it out, but with only 15 seconds left on the clock. It's a bit of a lost cause.
It is. I think Luke King and the only other driver who could get to he's going to get there in time. No, he won't. Definitely not.
Not at that speed.
Yeah, if you're calling it, it's like the M25, isn't it?
Yeah.
Brands, but yeah, that's not a good racing speed, is it?
No, absolutely not. So it's going to be Arthur Thurtle that takes pole position then, with Macaulay Watkins taking pole position in the pro class. The grid will now form up, and I'll apologise now in advance if there is any flickering or any issues or anything that goes on regarding my poor PC. Arthur Thurtle pole, Daniel Handover alongside him with Adam Watson and Tim Perry on row 2. Then it's Andrew Dawson alongside Josh Benson with Ivan Tonneson and Luke Lucchese on row 4. Leader in the pro class was Macaulay Watkins. He's alongside Justin Eloff on the 5th row. Tristan Dinnebrega and Yanis Albert on row 6. That's not something I thought I'd be saying anytime soon. Hayden Miller next up with Mike Barber in 14th. Then it's Mikey Story 15th, Thomas Pugh in 16th. Jean Breitenbach lines up alongside Ignace Vinciszewski. It's harder to do on the fly. We've got Robin Noel Brown 19th alongside Craig Hewlett with Lewis Kenyon and Serd Plurg 22nd. Vulcan Motorsports not having a good qualifying there. Ian Stitchbury down in 23rd position with Gerald Furey in 24th. Then it's Chris Jennings and Kalle Leskinen ahead of Luke King and Adam Wilson-Weir. Liam Fraser is 29th ahead of Harry Langford, with Robin Milton and Ricardo Louis Pereira in 32nd. Jean McLuhan is 33rd, with Danny Phillips alongside him on that 17th row of the grid. Then it's the sole Ferrari of Christopher Starsmore alongside Jakob Krafek. 37th is Jonathan Murphy ahead of Marius Hibmer, although it seems like he said in the YouTube chat he's not going to be racing tonight, which is a shame. James Howarth next up with Aidan Millward 40th, Lewis Hunter 41st alongside Archie Craven. He's definitely one to watch in that Audi. James Robinson in 43rd alongside Joshua Ness. Ben Bennyworth lines up alongside David Hutchison. Then it's Marcel Breitenbach and Josh Ostick on the 24th row. And, well, the overlay has done Yun Gonzalez dirty there, to be honest, with him in 49th place, just off the bottom of the order. So, Dara, I was hoping that potentially I could make that grid last for the entire formation lap, but here we be. Looking back from Arthur Thurtle, how important do you think it's going to be that he's got his teammate on the inside on the same row of the grid as him? Or same side of the grid, I should say.
Well, yeah, and even with another teammate back in P4, it's just really Daniel Handover against the 3 Altitude Freem cars, because they run first, third, and fourth, and can kind of fight in a bit of a pack. Interesting as well to the point really about cars in the same row. Lucchese, Denobriger, and Justin Aloff, I believe, all on the same side of the grid as well, and at least very close together, if not. So that's going to be an interesting little trio to watch out for. But for Thurtle, inside line at turn 1. Getting that launch is going to be key. If he can defend the inside line from Daniel Handover and get through Druids, you'd think he's going to be safe, at least for the early stages of the race. But then again, everyone will know how crucial it is to make moves off of the start, because it'll be difficult to make moves throughout the race. And so we could see a couple of sends attempts, and with 49 cars in the field, if something goes wrong into turn 1 or turn 2 towards the front, I mean, a knock-on effect's going to be an understatement.
It is, yeah. It absolutely will be, yeah. Humongous knock-on effect. And I know a lot of the guys will be certainly nervous in case anything does happen, because at the end of the day, with these GT3 cars, they are so highly strung. All it takes is one tiny little tap and they can be around. You know, they are floating on the surface, amazing amount of adhesion, but at the same time, they are really dancing around most of the time. We've got slightly British weather here, a little bit of the sun out at the moment. As you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, track temperature is 32 degrees Celsius, air temp is 19. And it's not a bad day to go flying, with the hectopascals being 999 right now. Although it's nicer than it used to be, because that graphic used to show you that it was about 3 million hectopascals, which is probably the air pressure of the sun.
Yeah, not really sustainable for life, that is it. So
no.
Just about.
Or tyres, more importantly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, considering they're not in the game, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be a good race, good conditions, as if anybody was sitting around watching. Good enough shade as well, just get out of the sun. But anyway, this is going to be quite chaotic. I mean, you saw off the start as well, off the start of the formation lap, the cars just continuing back nearly to the final corner. Almost too many for Brands Hatch, but it's going to be quite crazy off the start, and this will give us a good idea of what's going to happen for this race and race 2 as well.
Absolutely. Well, it's great to have you all here with us tonight, everyone, here on Evolution Sim Racing. And we hope you're just as excited as we are. We're getting ready to race at Brands Hatch then in round number 2 of Season 9 of the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship, and we are underway, and already the Altitude 3M Esports cars work together to go 1, 2, 3 into Paddock Hill Bend. Daniel Handover not letting them get away with it though. A little bit of a check up in the middle of the pack there. Some of the cars having to just really slow it down on the apex of turn 1. Nearly a bit of contact actually, as I think Josh Benson squeezes up the inside of one of the Altitude cars as well. I think there's a bit of drama further back. Lewis Kenyon and Kalle Leskinen swapping a few places here and there, but as we go on board with Jean Breitenbach, 3rd in his class, it's nice and tidy so far actually, Dara. Good stuff there. I think these guys know it's half an hour and they've got time to make up these positions or lose them.
And particularly if you're at the front of that pro class, you want to throw this away less. There's a chance of getting reverse grid pole here in everything that's going on, and so just keeping yourself clean in the opening couple of laps could be absolutely critical. John Breitenbach as well, actually. I think one of the only drivers, if not only like 2 or 3, to stay exactly where he started in all of that chaos off the start. But along with Arthur Thurston, of course, but Breitenbach having to defend. He's going to have to try not to look in the mirrors, but it's difficult when you've got that right behind you.
Yeah, Rainbow Dash is on the prowl, absolutely, at the moment, with Robin Noel Brown there, Craig Hewlett in there too. And to be fair, the Mustang's in a bit of a tough place right now, because you don't want to slow down too much so you get hit by the car behind, but you don't want to find yourself sort of accidentally putting your nose down the inside of the car in front. That's one of the tricky things about circuits like Brands Hatch, is that you can very easily find yourself making a move that you didn't really want to make. Right now, though, Arthur Thurtle leads it with Adam Watson second. He's going to have to play rear gunner to Daniel Handover right now in that McLaren. Daniel is not going to let anything slip by, but look at the two Sim Coach Porsches behind as well. Dawson and Benson, sounds like a bad firm of solicitors, 4th and 5th.
Yeah, and if there's two drivers you don't really want coming up behind you, knowing how to make their way through on this kind of circuit, it's a couple of sim coach drivers, because you'd think they'd have a good idea on what to do in these situations.
Yeah.
Watson for a second up in front. I thought he was going to go for a move on Thurstal there, but
Oh.
holds firm. But again, just as you were mentioning, you may go for a move you don't really want. All of a sudden another car comes through.
Yeah, Adam Watson having a big old moment there off the side of the road. Nightmare fuel for him. And he manages to survive it. Winczewski trying to make his way through with Serd Plurg as they try and overtake the McLaren of Craig Hewler. Nearly contact between the two of them, I think. Serd just scraping the back of that machine. Let's have a nose cam here and have a look. Archie Craven is apparently off the road, unfortunately, and dropping back down. Still showing him as running on the timing software, but we'll see. But this is not where you'd expect the reigning champion to be, especially after a lap or two. I mean, he's gained 2 places overall, but he's 20th outright at this present moment. 27 minutes still to go, but it's not the start to the night that you want. At the end of the day, qualifying so important, but he's not quite having the rub of the green so far. This guy is Macaulay Watkins in the Porsche, but that buffer that he had earlier with all the elite cars has suddenly gone. He's lost 5 places from the start of the race.
Yeah, he has, and that's not really where you want to be finding yourself this early on. Of course, reverse top 15 is where we're going to have to be looking at by the end of this race, and that's crucial because Plurg, outside of that top 15 overall, it's not the top 15 in the elite class, it's top 15 overall, and there are a couple of pro drivers, in fact a handful of them, who are looking to get themselves inside of that top 15 by the end of the race. And so if you're Plurg, you're not just fighting to try and get ahead of the likes of Thomas Pugh, Hayden Miller, who are directly in front of you in terms of your overall class. You've also got a couple of pro drivers even closer in front of you to have to get through first for, I mean, in the end, no real gain in terms of the points tally, only really gain towards in getting towards some of the drivers in your own class. So it's difficult psychologically to be stuck in a position like this, but he's going to have to try and fight his way through. That Mercedes just not working too well, is it? No,
it's definitely not. Certainly doesn't look like a comfortable car, neither does this thing. We are, quote-unquote, inside Rainbow Dash right now. Robin Noel Brown, 4th position in class in the Mustang, with its, well, horse-like features, as he tries to chase down Mikey Story, currently on for a podium in HSR Esports' other Mustang, but it's not going to be easy to hold on to that, really, with Robin behind. Robin in previous seasons has been very, very feisty, not wanting to back down from anything. But at the same time, Mikey's now trying to focus on getting ahead of Jean Breitenbach, who strangely seems to be held up behind Thomas Pugh. Thomas used to race in the Lamborghini, did a good job in the Lambo as well, actually, really showed us how it was supposed to be driven. Now he's in another mid-engine car, of course, the McLaren, which has gotten a lot more popular for this season. I blame Alex Fretwell for driving it, because he seems to have started the trend after being the only one in the field in seasons 7 and 8. But now, doing the job as Jonathan Murphy loses a little bit of time. You'll see there, that's the leaders all dropping down is not true, so that's why we don't tend to go too far down the order at the moment. As, oh dearie me, there is drama for Dawson. Andrew Dawson is off at the side of the road, and that's not a nice place to rejoin, is it?
No, just trying to get it righted, but as you come out of Westfield and through Dingle it's a horrible place. He's going to have to reverse. Surprised he didn't do that before. We'll see it again though.
Oh, we might.
On through. Let's see. Oh, well.
Bear with me.
He definitely did spin.
Yeah.
We know that much for sure. There he is.
Oh, goodness.
Going around. That's a horrible place to join it. But yeah, it just shows it's a bad place to get stuck. Because again, characteristics of this circuit, it's narrow, difficult to rejoin. You make a mistake, you're going to get punished in more ways than just making the mistake, spinning around. It's going to be a knock-on effect. A couple of tracks going wide as well. This is getting a little bit chaotic as we get into the 5-10 minute mark in this race.
Yeah, Tristan Dinabrega looking down the inside there, and in the background we've got Hayden Miller side by side with Mike Barber. McLaren and the Porsche nearly hooking together. Oh, you've got to be careful doing that though, Hayden. slides along the rear end of the Porsche. It's a lovely move in the end to get down the inside for Surtees, but look now, the Porsche's going to have the run. Oh, bit of a wiggle from the McLaren as well. Great body language being shown here by the cars on iRacing, as it so often does. Macaulay Watkins leading the Pro Class, doesn't want to get involved in this though. He's got a fight happening right in front of him that is nothing to do with him or his championship points. This is going to be squeaky bum time. He now slots in just behind, nearly kissing the back of Mike Barber's Porsche. All the while, Thomas Pugh also watching on, with John Breitenbach thinking, come on, come on, come on, I could get a class victory if this goes my way.
And again, Breitenbach at the same time, hoping to not get involved.
Oh.
Not the right place to make a move, to the inside of Sterling's. I don't think that's going to work out too well if you dive it. And again, making the move, not going to work out. Here comes John Breitenbach. It's just the knock-on effect here at Brands Hatch. Bit of a switchback, if you can even call it that, through Clark, but it's not going to work out in the end for Breitenbach. And he can still see Watkins, but he's not quite close enough to form any kind of move. Was momentarily 3 tenths back, now 9 tenths back again. He's still gained a couple of tenths over the course of that lap. It's just not comfortable really for anybody out on the circuit right now. No room to breathe.
No, there really isn't. Barely any room to breathe in this office as well. It's quite muggy. But at the moment, one of the main changes that we've had since seeing the Porsche have a spin not too long ago is the fact that Josh Benson now, look, has got a good bit of daylight between himself and the leaders, and not in the way that you'd want those guys up and over the hill, and Adam Watson doing the fastest lap of the race last time round. Josh will be quite happy with the fact that he's got that clear air in front of him, but he won't be too happy that he's got Tim Perry not too far behind. Altitude 3M Esports, certainly a team to be reckoned with in a lot of events and championships. Right now, though, they have come here and made their mark from the very get-go. We'll see whether Josh can hold up the pace to stay in front, and then obviously defend the position if he has to a little bit later on. But I'm intrigued by this lead battle, though, in the Pro Class. The Pro Class has been one of the real highlights of these championships since we've had Split A and Split B over the past few seasons, and it's great to see because these guys have so many fights to pick, don't they, Dara? They have to think about some of the elite drivers coming through, but also trying to, well, consider what happens if they actually have to make an overtake on an elite driver as well to, you know, benefit their own race.
And we've seen it happen before. We've seen battles. I think there was one last season. I cannot remember exactly where, but there were 5 cars involved. 3 of them pros, 2 of them elites, and all the pros were battling between themselves, and the 2 elites were battling between themselves, but then tripping into each other's battles. It was absolutely incredible to watch because they wanted to keep out of each other's battle, while somehow it was all happening at the same time. Watkins, though, that was happening for a long time into that corner, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was. Oh, don't do it, son, don't do it. Yeah. Good stuff by the sim coach guys there. You know, we've seen both of them do that, do a bit of a 3-point turn. He slowly moves over, and we then go back to the lead. But that was a massive, massive old shame. But like you say, it was happening for a while. We'll go a bit further back than that. So he's going down towards Druids, and it seems all nice and tidy. He doesn't clip the grass or anything. Oh, it's that tiny bit of grass on the right rear, and that is a big old impact as well. Massive hit into the wall. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him head back into the pits, to be fair, with some damage from that one, because it was an awful angle, wasn't it? It wasn't quite straight on. It was right in a crumple zone, wasn't it, that?
Yeah, it was not a comfortable place, or comfortable position for the car to be in, and very, very tricky to see how they were heavily damaged from that. And so almost certainly will come down pit lane. Never saw Bear trying to find a clean bit of tarmac because he's got a car directly in front of him. That is Luke Lucchese, of course, former teammates when Yanis was at RDSA. No more are they teammates, and that's RDSA against the Penguin Racing endeavours. And if you're Luke Lucchese, you look back and think, what on earth is behind me?
Yes, yeah, it would be a similar view to this one, with just those horrific googly eyes. It is almost like dazzle camouflage in a way, isn't it? You can't quite tell it's a Lamborghini, which is quite funny. It's not something I've thought of doing before, actually. Although a friend of mine, when we used to run in, we all used to do like pre-season tests and everything, as you do, and everyone liked to pretend they're all famous and do like team livery reveals and stuff before the championship. And we actually ran dazzle camouflage for one season on the Audi R8, and it looked great, but it was limited in effect. I think if you were there in person, it'd certainly work. That's the number 79 car just shimmying on out the way there. That's Yun Gonzalez as the top 3 go through to start another lap. We're over a third of the way through this race now, and Arthur Thurtle has held the lead from the get-go. Daniel Handover, despite having lost the position earlier, has gained it back from Adam Watson, but That big old ugly BMW is bearing down on him, sucking in all the air from that McLaren through its massive nostrils. And these boys, they're not playing friendly, are they, at the moment here, Dara? They may be following on from one another, but they're really concertinaing up together. Handover is looking great right now.
Yeah, it's a question of whether Thurtle is actually going slower than he can, trying to back up Handover, or and knowing that he's just doing enough out of the corners, like here at Thursdays, to keep himself safe, or whether this really is his true pace. Handover's going quite well, and Watson's just having to do everything he can to keep up. It's difficult to judge at this stage, but Thurtle is looking relatively strong. I think we wouldn't expect Daniel Handover to make a move for quite some time here. You wouldn't want to throw it up the inside, but though having said that, the earlier you make it, maybe the more surprise factor you're going to be able to have in making a move. So Handover kind of with the cards at the moment. If he's sitting this close behind, if he gets a run, I'm sure that he'll go for the lead, because he's made a move for P2 already, shown that he can make moves around Brands Hatch. Just make one more before he'll have to make a whole load of them in race 2.
Yeah, I think the thing at Brands Hatch, it's not necessarily making moves on people, is it? It's just being there when they get it wrong. You have to be so close behind them that you can take advantage, but at the same time not too close that you get caught out by the incident. Because we've all been there, we've all tried to get really close to the back of the car in front and had an issue. Hayden Miller has just lost a bunch of time onto the start-finish straight. I think he just ran a little bit wide on the exit of the final corner, maybe kissed some of the gravel and the grass that's out there. It's easily done. You try and sort of smooth out the final run to the start-finish line, and it can easily go around on you. Ignace Vinciszewski just looking down the inside here of Craig Hewlett's McLaren. It's another place gained for him. I say another place, actually. He's now only back to where he started this race. His teammate Serd Plurg has gained 7 spots, so he's gone past Ignace and then continued on up the road. But the reigning champions in the Teams Championship in particular not having a good time, as Handover has gone for the lead. He's overtaken Arthur Thurtle.
He's got it, and he's made his way past both of those teammates, and now it's a case of how can Thurtle and Watson work together. Watson maybe even go for a move momentarily. It's thought better of it by the time that they made their way into Sheen, but it looked like he was forcing the issue, and maybe he's feeling that he's got more pace than Thurtle now, and you'd back him in that because he's clearly pushing him through the corner, and Handover with a couple of extra tenths towards the final corner than we saw Thurtle have this time by last time. So yeah, this is decision times for the team. Oh, as Barber's gone off the road, and that's the Greater Mass car in the gravel.
I think also Ignace Vinciszewski has been off not long after him as well. We'll keep an eye on this and watch it. Just clips the grass on the way in. So easily done, and he's done really well there not to hit a wall. iRacing's gravel traps actually do things now, as in comparison to when they didn't used to, did they? Let's face it, it used to be like driving on water. But right now, Mike will feel a little bit silly after that one, but it was an easy mistake to make at the end of the day. I think we've all been there on the way in, trying to widen that corner as much as possible. We've all seen it as they're trying to widen this corner as much as possible. Yannis Albert elbowing his ex-teammate Luke Lucchese out of the way. Luke quick on the headlight flash, as he would be. Look at this, it's a 12-wheeled RDSA car.
Yeah, this is crazy down in towards the right hand. How's this going to work out? Don't hit each other, that's bad. He's just about going to lose the place. Here, though, comes Tonneson around the outside. If he can make this work in towards Westfield, not going to work out down through Dingledale. But now, Alof and Zanorico and Lucchese are probably going to have a bit of a meeting and discuss how they're going to go about it from here. Albert slipped up into 6th as well. Thurtle slipping backwards. He's off the road as well. It's just gone from bad to worse for him.
Yeah, Arthur Thurtle having a moment there at Stirling's all on his own. And right now, he's got the 124 around the outside. A little bit of contact on the way in as well as Luke Lucchese sweeps through. Somehow Arthur becomes the centrepiece in the battle that we were just watching, as Hayden Miller now tries to get in on this. He's going to try and go around the outside of Tonneson. Tonneson then looks down the inside of Thurtle. The two cling to each other. Goodness me, it's getting scrappy. I think these guys are getting a little bit stressed out by this right now. It's so close. Tonneson too busy flashing his lights to see that Hayden Miller's nipped up the inside. Have some of that, he says. I'll take a freebie. I mean, he is Scottish, so why not? Tonneson back down the inside again into Graham Hill-Bend. Great racing side by side with the two of them. Absolutely zero space left on the table, and Hayden Miller's got it done. Great stuff there, but let's see what happened, Dara, to Arthur Thurtle.
Yeah, and imagine seeing that order towards the back end of the top 10 a few minutes ago with those guys, with Thurtle back there. Let's see what happened. Through Sheen he goes, all looks fine. In towards Stirling's. There's the right-hand tyres into the grass. there's the spin. Nearly up into two wheels there. Lucky to keep it out of the barrier. Very similar instance to what we saw just a couple of minutes ago in exactly the same corner. So rinse and repeat. I'm surprised it's not the last time we see that either. Dinobrica, goodness me, he's got to be careful in his attempt to get ahead that he's not the third victim. Of course, you run it so close to that white line and there is no curb to speak of on the entry.
No, there really isn't, and it's part of the circuit where the car gives you a lack of confidence and then all the confidence in the world, because you go from an off-camber corner to an on-camber corner and it spits you out the other side, and then you think, oh great, I've got all this grip, it's going to be lovely, and then you get to the final corner and it's over a crest. Hayden Miller's just been off again. He's having a very lively race actually. He's just lost a few more positions as a result of that. He was in the thick of the fight and now he's back out of it again. John Breitenbach, who's just gone ahead of him, is now in the lead of the pro class, and he's got a good 3.6 seconds over the pair of Mustangs as well. Mike Story and Robin Noel Brown making their way through that class to, well actually no, Mikey Story is where he started the race, but he's gained places in his class. That's an interesting one. Robin Noel Brown now into a podium position in the very subtle Rainbow Dash livery. He's got Ignace Wincheshevsky just behind, and then the two HSR esports cars, the McLaren and the Acura, making waves. But Dan Handover, now he's in the lead. He's 1.4 seconds clear. I mean, he hasn't looked back, has he? He's been absolutely brilliant in terms of the pace.
Yeah, and he's kept it up, hasn't he, over the last few laps, and since he's getting the lead, he's not really had to look backwards, helped, of course, by the spin that we saw from Thurtle, but Watson's not been able to close that gap in his BMW from 1.5 seconds, and since it was only really those front three from the first couple of minutes that had any chance of winning the race, it's now really just down to Handover and Watson, and to see if Watson can close that gap in the final 12 minutes. But whilst all that is going on, battle for the top 15 is really interesting, because of course that is going to be where we see the reverse grid take action, and we are seeing a couple of the pro drivers getting themselves involved here. Mikey Story, one of them in the number 13. I wonder, Chaz, we could just chuck up that overall race order on the screen, because you can see Mikey Story is that bubble at the moment. Him and Robin L. Brown, two pro drivers that are fighting not just over P2, but at the moment who would start on pole and who would start P16 in the next race, which is going to be crucial for their own races and crucial for their own chances in the championship. But it's not going to be L. Brown, that's for sure.
Oh dearie me, he loses the back end on the way in. He did really heat up the rears on the exit of Druids, and whenever you see a car, oh dearie me, oh, he tried to stay out of the way of Jakub Krafek. Jakub facing the wrong way as a result. He tried to stay out of the way and turn right, not knowing that Jakub had gone all the way around the outside of him. But I was going to say, every time that you see a car behaving like that, the analogy that comes to mind is one of my favourite ever Jeremy Clarkson analogies, where he says driving this car is like trying to win the Grand National on a lion that's made out of teeth and jelly. And that's exactly what it looked like in that Mustang right there. It didn't want to behave itself on the exit. It was like the rear axle suddenly had shopping trolley wheels on it, didn't it? And around it goes. So that now means that, in a strange twist, Ignace Wincheshevsky is the next driver in line to try and overtake Mikey Story. Elite driver versus pro driver. On paper, this could go the way of Ignace. He's about 1500 iRating above, but as you and I both know by now, Dara, iRacing means absolutely nothing. And Ignace is just going to have to get his foot down here and hope that that could turn his night around.
Yep, absolutely so. And it's really intriguing as well for John Breitenbach right now, because if Mikey Story gets overtaken, Breitenbach's going to be the only pro driver in the reverse grid.
Oh, yeah.
Means where Handover would start, would go from being P1 in this race to starting P14 in class for race 2, Breitenbach could go from winning race 1 to still being in the lead of his class for race number 2. So really, really big for him if Mikey Story gets overtaken. And I don't think there's going to be many more big fans of Vince Krivsky's and the Breitenbach duo in the next 10 minutes or so in this race. But it's intriguing, really. Vince Krivsky's spun on the opening lap back at Daytona from a really good position after a good qualifying. He never really was able to get back into it. And, of course, with the 1 hour race, it was difficult to get back in. No stoppage after half an hour. Here, he's got a good chance, maybe even getting himself into the reverse grid pole and kick-starting a championship in round 2.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why we love reverse grids sometimes. They can be chaotic. They can be exciting, though, at the same time. But it also means that drivers do get another chance. They get another bite of the cherry. And it's fantastic to see that Ignace still pushing on here. 14th in class. Don't be fooled by the position there, everybody. He is 16th overall. Mikey Story now 2.2 seconds quicker, and Ignace, he's only just done his fastest lap of the race, which is only 0.08 of a second faster than what Mikey Story did on that last lap. So he's definitely not got pace on his side right now, but he just needs to be consistently faster than Mikey to make this work, I think, at this stage. Just going to go a bit further forward and look at Arthur Thurtle, because he's just behind a bunch of drivers that he'd love to be ahead of, 3 RDSA cars, and then his teammate Tim Perry. So this is a triple cheeseburger of an RDSA Esports sandwich right now with Altitude 3M Esports bread. I'm not quite sure how the gloves would taste, to be honest, but still, it's some mighty fancy bread and a very meaty core, because the RDSA guys, I mean, they've been stalwarts of this championship for numerous seasons now. They've been stalwarts of the top 5 positions for the last few championships now, and it suddenly seems like this burger might go spilling out over the sides like a badly done McDonald's.
Yeah, and that's not a exactly rare occasion, is it?
No. Can you tell I'm hungry?
Let's hope that doesn't come to fruition in this little battle. Thurtle, though, he may be hungry. He's certainly hungry for positions. He's got 4 in front of him, and I think to have this little train led by Perry, his teammate, could help him here. Going back to the conversation we were having earlier of, was Thurtle holding up Andover and Watson? Seems that he wasn't in the end, but here is Perry maybe holding up this train of cars to give Arthur a bit of a chance to get ahead. A trio of South Africans in his way at the moment, and of course then you get to his teammate. But yeah, really interesting to have this train of cars. Tim Perry not doing too much hold up for the time being, and you wouldn't blame him. Top 5 is supposed to finish in this race.
Yeah, exactly. He's just going to push at this point, I think, is Tim. He's been around for a while in this world of sim racing. Very potent racer as well. He's another driver that's raced in a number of the leagues that I've hosted as well, whether it be open wheels, whether it be these GT3 cars. He drove a fantastic neon Mustang in one of the GT3 championships I hosted, and because we joked about saying Tim Perry's name all the time, saying that basically just kept repeating his name every single time he could say it. Rather than say he, we'd just say Tim Perry the whole time. And he turned up to one of the rounds, changing all of the neon design on his car to just have the word Tim Perry written all over the car. And it was a phenomenal looking machine. Yannis Albert's just on the fastest lap of the race, somehow, in that thing, without being distracted by it. It shows that at least it goes better than it looks. He's trying to chase down Josh Benson for a podium here. These two have been in a bit of no man's land, haven't they, for the last few laps, with not a lot to do after all of the kerfuffles that went on around them.
And kerfuffle is probably the right word, because there were quite a few little tussles, weren't there, over the course of the start of the race. But interesting when you're able to just get it into a nice window, avoid all of that happening around you, and just be able to put yourself up the order, whereas others can't. And Yannis has done a fantastic job in doing that over the course of this race. Biggest mover in his class, not quite the biggest mover overall in either class. I have to go to Marcel Breitenbach, who's up 10 positions, and Ben Benioff as well. In that pro class, they've really shot up the order after difficult qualifying sessions. It's meant that they have a chance of possibly, very possibly, getting themselves towards the top 10 in their class by the end of the night. But yeah, still a little ways to go in that regard for them. But I've only got a handful of left in this race. It's handover just across the line. We're looking at 5 more to go. 5 more, I think, we're just getting a sweet one.
Yeah, I think we'll just get there. It's going to be close as they come across the line, I think, when they get round that final time, or what will be the penultimate time anyway. Yannis Albert now really putting Josh Benson under pressure in that Porsche. As Josh, you can see the car moving around quite a bit. It's only 0.2 of a second between them. There's a bit of lap traffic in front as Yannis tucks in the Lamborghini nice and late. He's going to get in the slipstream of the Porsche. God, it's a good looking car from this angle as well, with that massive rear wing on it. The 992, one of the more aggressive versions of the Porsche 911 GT3R. Certainly one of the biggest overhauls in terms of its visual appearance, and it has been a real dominant factor in a lot of series that it's raced in. But right now Yannis is saying, well, this Lambo may be a bit of an old pig at this point, but it's a fast one. It's a pig that's been dangled a carrot, that's for sure. Really making progress. That, I think, is Archie Craven in the Audi. He did post in Discord saying that his monitor turned off randomly before, so he just came to a stop as safely as he could. And fair play to him for doing so, because it's not easy to do that. Battles continuing here with all the RDSA gang being kept under watchful eyes of Altitude 3M Esports. 3 minutes 50 left to go. I think this is far from over here in this battle, to be honest, Dara. I think with the less laps that we have, these guys are going to get more and more feisty.
Yeah, and I really do think are right on the tilt between having 3 more laps or 4 more laps. It really depends on a second or two with Daniel handover going around to see how close that ends up being across the line. So for these guys, you can't really rest on there being an extra lap. You have to go for the moves slightly earlier than you'd otherwise expect, because you cannot depend on there being an extra chance in this race. So if you go under the presumption you've got 3 laps left, it'll be a bonus if you get the extra lap. Yeah. I think for these guys right now, they're not going to be battling each other as teammates. But if Denobrica can get towards Perry, then that's good news. But you've got to be careful of Thurtle behind, because if you're sitting as a trio of cars clearly not going to make moves on each other, that's just going to invite Thurtle to almost spring a surprise attack, because he knows that you're going to be resting on your laurels and not necessarily pressing forward. And that's the risk that I think Lucchese is going to have to face in the next 3 laps.
Yeah, that's the thing, in pursuing pace, we all say, don't we, that, smooth is fast. And if you push a little bit too hard, like Dinderbrega just did there, it's going to lose time. You can hear Justin Elof's Lamborghini just behind him, actually. That V10 making a fantastic sound, as ever. And they're not the only guys in this battle anymore, because Eivind Tonneson is starting to close in on this lot in his McLaren. 2 minutes 20 left on the clock. And I'm intrigued now as to whether Eivind has got enough pace to really upset the rhythm of this fight. As there was a little look by Arthur Thurtle, Eivind is going to close in as a result of that. This could get mighty spicy with just 1 lap left. I think these guys are getting closer and closer together on what will be the penultimate lap.
Yeah, we're only going to have about 10 seconds of the clock hitting 0 before we see the first driver cross the checkered flag, because it's not a long time, but still enough for us to know that there's only going to be this and 1 more. So for Tonneson now, is there a chance? You doubt it, but he's going to be trying it nonetheless. Of course, got to keep an eye on Mikey Story, of course, right at the back end of that top 15 in his quest to get reverse grid pole as well, because he is now behind. There we go, he's behind Vincichevsky's. And so Vincichevsky's now in that position to have reverse grid pole. He's going to have to hang on to it. Now that was a tongue twister. In the last lap and a half.
Yeah, see whether Mikey Story can rewrite the story and get back in front of him. It's quite funny, really, considering that car is about 40 stories tall. But Daniel Handover has just gone on to the final lap now. He's going to be a bit confused to see the number 6 Porsche sat right in front of him on the circuit. Hopefully said number 6 Porsche moves out of the way nice and quickly, because said car is a lap down on our race leader. That's Macaulay Watkins. Started much further up the order earlier. Nice, good stuff. Moves out of the way very proactively as well. You like to see that. Sometimes you see drivers say, stick to your line, do what you do, but I think more in endurance racing that works. On a night like tonight, you sort of want the lap traffic to jump out of the way. Adam Watson has been solid all this race, hasn't he, really? He had that little moment that cost him the 2nd spot earlier, but since then he's been really, really bob on.
Yeah, but I think he may still be slightly disappointed ever so slightly disappointed. Of course, P2, points on the ball, definitely happy and positives to take. However, the just little lack of pace compared to Daniel Handover, the inability to chase him and go for the lead, I think will disappoint him slightly. But he has to remember, he will hold that lead, won't he? I say hold the lead. Will hold the position over Daniel Handover to start race 2 when it all is reversed.
Absolutely will, but round the final corner to take a very, very impressive victory here at Brands Hatch is Daniel Handover for Brabham Motorsport. Gets the job done, crosses the line. First race of the night in round 2 is his. Adam Watson 2nd place, and Josh Benson just beats Yanis Albert to the line. In the background we have all the Altitude and RDSA boys as well. And where is John Breitenbach? He's going slowly out of the final corner. What is that about? Is that to gain more places? Is he out of fuel? Ignace Vincichevsky beats him to the line, but John Breitenbach only just making that across the line there. Wow, that was strange. Very, very strange there, Dara. I think he's out of fuel.
No, that must have been strategic. There's no way he'd run out. Surely not. Because there's no reason to. He was sat in a train. If he'd run out of fuel, others absolutely would have done. I think he's done that because he knows that he's not lost any points by dropping down those positions.
Yeah.
But he's going to be that much further up the grid by dropping down the positions and give himself an even better chance at better points in race 2. So very smart. He knows the championship very well indeed.
He does.
That would not be surprising.
Yeah, absolutely. But a solid race still by Altitude 3M Esports. They had drivers in 2nd, 5th and 9th in that one. All around the RDSA boys. Tristan Dinabrega ahead of Justin Eloff, Luke Lucchese 6th, 7th and 8th. Adam Watson finishing 2nd, but Daniel Handover, very, very impressive race win there. Aidan Millward finishes his race, Joshua Ness there, and Christopher Starsmore in the Ferrari. Apologies to those that we didn't see much of further down the order, but I'm sure you can all understand for the sake of hardware, we cannot always show that because the timing goes all over the place as a result. So they're going to have a warm-up session now. We'll have a look at the results of Heat 1, but what we'll do is actually look at the individual classes, shall we? We'll go for Elite first. Daniel Handover taking the win by nearly 2 seconds from Adam Watson, ahead of Josh Benson in 3rd, Yanis Albert 4th, just behind him. Tim Perry was 5th in the end, ahead of Tristan Dinabrega, Justin Eloff and Luke Lucchese, the 3 RDSA cars all together as they usually are. Arthur Thurtle 9th and Ivan Tonneson in 10th. Thomas Pugh was 11th with Hayden Miller in 12th. Serd Plurg is 13th, ahead of his teammate Ignace Vinciszewski. Then it's Jan Stitchbury in 15th. He had a relatively quiet race for once. Usually he's quite the one to watch. Mike Barber was 16th after his little moment earlier on. Harry Langford 17th. Lewis Kenyon 18th, ahead of John McLuhan and Luke King, who completes the top 20. That's not something we usually say for Luke. Andrew Dawson had his moment in his Porsche, and Marius Hibmer has said he's not racing here tonight. And Dara, why don't you take it away with the Pro class, my friend?
Yeah, it was won by John Breitenbach in the end by just about a second. That, I think, was a bit of a tactical masterclass in the end from the South African, meaning that he still won the race, but he may be right at the front of the field, or will be right at the front of the field for race number 2. Mikey Story there, 2nd, after losing out on that P15 late on in the race for the reverse grid pole. Craig Hewlett, Kalle Leskinen, 3rd and 4th. The Finn doing relatively well, quietly going about his work to finish 4th. And for Gerald Fury as well, good result to get the 2nd of the South Africans in this class into P5. Chris Jennings, Adam Wilson-Weir, Danny Phillips, all inside the top 8 and about 10 seconds, or within 10 seconds, give or take, off of the race lead. Liam Fraser and Aidan Millward a little bit further back and in a bit of a race on their own, but still inside the top 10 and decent points going their way with Jonathan Murphy, Robin Milton and Ricardo Luis Pereira, the Portuguese driver, inside the top 13. David Hutchison, Jakob Krafek and Joshua Ness, top 16. Ben Benioff and Lewis Hunter running out our top 18 and the top 20 going in the end to Marcel Breitenbach and Christopher Starsmore. Sadly for James Robinson, for James Hayworth, within the lead lap, but no points for them on the first part of this evening's racing. Macaulay Watkins, Robin Earl Brown after a couple of spins, and John Gonzalez after a difficult qualifying, all a lap down. Archie Craven found himself 2 laps down. And sadly for Josh Ostick in that DX Team Mercedes, he was 27th last and 7 laps down. He'll come back strong for race 2, I'm sure.
Yeah, hopefully so. We'll just have a quick look at the overall results as well, just to confirm to you all that pole position will go the way of Jean Breitenbach, actually. Ignace Vinciszewski got him just at the line. It was an absolute masterclass, like you said, Dara. So Jean gets pole position and now puts 14 elite drivers between himself and Mikey Story for race 2. That was really playing the game right there. And we'll be continuing to play the game in just a few moments' time. Is it a 5 or 10 minute warm-up that we have here tonight? It's usually 10, is it not?
It's a 5.
It's only a little.
I'm looking at my timing page. We've only got 1 minute 40 bit left, which is delightful.
Yeah,
it means we can get straight onto the racing.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say at this point, usually we'd have a drink, have a break, and so on. But these guys don't muck about here. They're not lazy like me. So we will get right into it in a moment. Ben Benioff was somebody that was slightly under the radar in that previous race, but it's quite ironic, really, considering the livery. But he will be hoping for a bit more fun and action in this second race of the night. And with warm-up just ticking down now, I mean, it's hard to really put your money on anyone other than Ignace for me, really. I think it just depends on how cleanly he battles with John Breitenbach in the opening lap, because he still has to take that lead at the end of the day. But I think he's got the capability to drive away with this. Just depends if that Mercedes is good to him, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's going to be the key, I think, really. I think there's a lot of ifs into that opening lap for this second race, because with that reverse 15, it just kind of throws everything into a bit more chaos, really, because we have got drivers out of position, drivers expecting themselves to move forward, and some at the front who are probably expecting to move a little bit backwards as well. It's almost a psychological battle at the start of a race like this, because again, if this was Daytona and you had a reverse top 15 in 30 minutes to do so, I think you're going to be feeling relatively confident in making moves all the way through the race. When we saw a couple of moves from third to first, or from fifth to third even last week, you can make double overtakes into single corners. That just simply isn't going to happen here unless there's some kind of incident. So you've got to formulate the race a lot more. The difficulty is having to formulate it whilst also trying to pick through your way through a battle where, it's so difficult to make moves at this track.
It really is. Like we said before, it's just a case of trying to figure out when you're opportunistic more than making moves on people. It's just be there in the right place at the right time. While the rest of the cars just begin to grid up, it's worth giving a good shout out to our championship sponsors. Once again, we would not be here and racing like this without them. Thanks very much to Trophy AI. Thanks very much to Kame. And also Motorsport UK Esports for considering the Evolution Sim Racing community as a recommended community by them. We have Sim Coach on board for this season as well, which is great to see. And also the GP2 group. Fantastic support from them. As ever, season on season, we are always very, very grateful for it. So let's have a look at this grid then, shall we? It's another big one, but it's the top 15 from that previous result, which are flipped around, which means John Breitenbach takes pole position on the inside of that start-finish straight. He's going to have Ignace Vinciszewski alongside him. Serd Plurg, his teammate as well, actually, reigning champion in third. That was something I looked over for sure. Hayden Miller next up in the Phoenix Racing McLaren. He had a bit of a busy race earlier. It's all McLarens on row 3 with Thomas Pugh and Ivan Tonneson. Arthur Thurtle and Luke Lucchese make up a very spicy row 4. Justin Eloff and Tristan Dinabrega bringing in the RDSA Esports reinforcements. Then it's Tim Perry alongside Yanis Albert, two drivers with interesting liveries in completely different respects. Josh Benson is 13th with Adam Watson in 14th. And race 1 winner Daniel Handover is going to have to try and make his way through what is a very, very tough top 14 cars if he wants to take a reverse victory. We'll have the rest of the grid filter through as you see it. It's basically the result of the earlier race, but not a bad start to the night, that was it, Dara? A nice clean race, really. Only a tiny bit of contact here and there. Not really many major incidents towards the back or anything either. It's a very solid way to get it underway, because we expected a bit of chaos here at Brands, didn't we?
It tees us up perfectly for a really, really clean and absolutely perfect, no issues second race, isn't it? I think that's definitely what we're going to be seeing.
That is the sarcasm
there. Ripping. Think about it. First race, a good grid position for race 2 on the line. You're going to be a bit more careful, aren't you? When you get into this second race, at the end of the day, at the end of the race today, when you cross the checkered flag, that's it. You're not going to see those positions again, apart from on the standings page. This is where you go for it a bit more. And I think this is where we see a couple of drivers maybe be a little bit more brazen with some moves that they make. So, yeah, I think we could see a cleaner race, because race 1 definitely was cleaner than we probably expected it to be. But race 2, I would not be shocked if we saw a couple of little incidents between the drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, just a quick apology for me regarding not covering the entire field as much. Obviously, it's difficult anyway, but just in the interests of hardware and trying to keep the timing as correct as we can, we aren't going to be diving too far down the order, unfortunately, tonight. But apologies if that means you, but we will do our best in future. I've got a new PC build on the way very soon, which will be lovely. All the parts are actually in the house, which is even more depressing in a way, but at the same time, the time has to be right for it. Got a very busy few weeks at the moment, so having to jump on tonight right in the thick of it all has been interesting to say the least. But it's great to be back with the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship, broadcasting here live on Evolution Sim Racing's YouTube channel as well this season. You're listening to Chaz Draycott and Dara Thacker in the commentary box at Brands Hatch for round number 2 of season 9, and you are watching the A split. We hope you're enjoying yourselves, because we certainly are. up here in the commentary box. John Breitenbach will hopefully be enjoying himself here. He played a very tactical move at the end of the first race to get himself on pole. Let's see how he converts that now as race number 2 of the night from Brands Hatch gets underway with the Vulcan Motorsports Mercedes trying to chase him down. It's a great getaway from the barbecue bread McLaren, and straight off the bat Serd Plurg down the inside of Winczewski, and now they're going to have to try and play together nicely as they go after that McLaren from turn 1. A few positions lost there for Tim Perry, and a little bit of argy-bargy on the way into Druids. A little bit of a check up in the middle of the pack as well, but that's to be expected. Very tidy stuff up the top of the hill once again. And to be fair, Dara, it's like these boys have practiced this. That was great.
Yeah, Handover getting stuck a bit in the background of where he started, of course, down in P15. He is down in P14 in class, exactly where he started, trying to go around the outside now of a Millwood. Not going to work out. Going around, though, was that, I think it was Denobriga, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Who's now dropped all the way down the order in the South African, one of the South Africans, now right to the back of the field. So have to be careful, having to avoid him. Nothing wrong with the rejoin, but difficult to see when you're going at such high speeds. But sadly for Breitenbach, he's already been done by 1, by 2. Little Bear, I mean, he's got a paper delivery, he's slipping off the road.
Yeah, absolutely, like driving on ice. But he's had a bit of a moment up at the top through Hawthorns, and now he's still on the outside. Goodness me, through Sheen Curve is absolutely brave. But it's John Breitenbach that's lost a couple of places at the start, but I think he's happy to let Serd Plurg and Ignace Winczewski go right now. It is showing that the pro class is ahead of the elite class, God knows why, but the 2 Mercedes are at the front, and look, John Breitenbach is playing this smart. He doesn't want to fight too hard with Hayden Miller. He says, you go through, son, and I'm just going to run my race now. John Breitenbach hoping for big points and a double victory tonight in the pro class. We've had a bit of a drama further down the order, I'm afraid. Tim Perry's off the road, big time on the right-hand side. He's gone in nose first in that Porsche. And let's see how he's done this one.
Almost like he's trying to explore the track there, getting it back. But let's see, interval turn 1. Is he helped? Does he just lose the rear end? It's all looking fine. Oh, there's a car. It's Yannis Albert. I mean, it can't be anybody but Yannis Albert to the inside there. But I'm not too sure whether there was too much contact, whether that rear end was lost on the curb. But either way, into the wall, not really needed at all. And now he's got a lot of work to do, and probably a lot of work on the car to do, to get himself back into any kind of contention in this race.
Got the question of what is the strength of field for this race. Unfortunately, at the moment, Nick, I do not know. It's very high, though, I can tell you that. There's a lot of 3, 4, 5k iRacers in this race. There's even Andrew Dawson of SimCoach, who is 8,900 I rating. Jonathan Murphy is in the trees somewhere. He's had an awful down the hill. That's a scary place to be. Hopefully it's a safe enough rejoin to not get involved with anyone else. That was Tim Perry flying back through to get ahead of him. Still John Breitenbach holding on. Oh, a little bit of a blink in and out there by our race leader. Internet certainly not on his side for the time being. But look again here, actually, Dara. Hayden Miller is staying with the 2 Vulcan Motorsports Mercedes. The McLaren definitely working well round here at Brands Hatch tonight. That Mercedes, it's definitely not its forte as Brands Hatch.
No, I think we've learnt that pretty quickly tonight, and I don't think they're going to be, the Mercedes drivers going to be too displeased to see it go by the end of tonight, to be honest. But yeah, it's not been the easiest car to drive in these conditions. However, they are winning and in second place in the case of Plurg and Winczewski, so there is that silver lining. Whether they can keep ahead behind Miller and Tonneson remains to be seen. Very long way to go in this race. 2 Quintamas cars next to each other on the circuit as well. Can they work together? We'll wait to see on that one, and a couple of DXTs nearby to each other too. So there's a lot of teamwork, I think, that's been ongoing tonight. I think that can be taken forward into the next few races, and if nothing else, a bit of practice on that front, isn't it?
Well, exactly, yeah. It's like a live practice session, isn't it? When you're battling around with your teammates, you may as well just use it and tone your racecraft for the situation. And Liam, right now, is, well, finding every little bit of advantage he can. That's Gerald Furry having a bit of a moment, and that is the number 14 car, which is David Hutchinson. He's actually a lap down in the Corvette. He's trying to stay out of the way, and he's done everything but there. I think Liam Fraser will be on the headlight flashes right now just to tell him to get out of the way. Chris Jennings right behind, Adam Wilson-Weir in there as well. And yeah, that Corvette certainly not endearing himself to the guys on the lead lap, as Chris Jennings nearly ends up in the grandstands down at Paddock Hill Bend. Adam Wilson-Weir slots up the inside, and a bit of a flash of lights there by Chris Jennings. Not quite sure what that's for. maybe shouting about having one of the prettiest liveries on the grid. That is a gorgeous looking race car. Lots of logos and bits all over it. But at the moment, it's Sed Plurg still leading the way in the Mercedes. And we'll have to see how long they can hold on to that. I think they're being helped here by Ivan Tunnerson, battling with Hayden Miller.
They are indeed, and this is a battle that is clearly getting quite intense at the moment. Of course, behind John Breitenbach, who just, ahead of John Breitenbach, I've got deliveries there. Behind the two leaders, it's interesting to see how Plurg and Vitzkevsky's can work together in the next few laps, because they don't really look like they're the fastest at the moment. Those McLarens look like they've got an extra lick of pace over them. The difficulty is, when you've got two cars in front, and, maybe working as a team, it's much more difficult to overtake. Then again, at the same time, we talked about it in race 1. If Vidzicevsky is not going to overtake Plurg, he's not willing to attack because it's his teammate, it opens himself up to almost being too cautious into some corners and allowing the likes of Miller and Tonneson through. And when you've got the likes of Albert going fastest of all in P8 as well, it means that the entire field is tightening up, and this race is going to be far from over.
Absolutely, yeah. Still 24 minutes left to go here at Brands Hatch in race 2 of the night in the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 Championship. We hope you're all enjoying the show, everybody. Certainly been good fun so far. It's great to be back, and it's great to be on the Evolution Sim Racing GT3 channel as well. We've got Luke Lucchese having a battle here with Adam Watson. He'll be on the headlight flashes there, I'm sure. Maybe? No? Still having a bit of a ding-dong. Thomas Pugh wanting through now in the Axis McLaren. He ends up on the left-hand side of the Porsche, trying to make it around. Doesn't quite work for him there. He's now got to look at the absolute abomination behind him, which is Yannis Albert's Lamborghini. I was going to make a joke there about Yannis being the abomination and then driving that car, but he knows I love him, really. But Yannis using the Dazzle camo to great effect, hoping to keep a cool head and get one over on the opposition. Daniel Handover's in the back of this train as well now. He didn't have a great start, did he, Dara? But he's up into 10th place in his class, 11th place overall, so he's figuring it out, but he's not made rapid progress.
And the thing is, he's in 10th in class, however, he's 5 seconds off the lead, that's it. I mean, it's congestion central up in front of him. Maybe people wanted to get back into London for the evening. Let's see, inside line on Thurtle, not going to be able to get that one done. But yeah, the point here being that if there's any kind of contact up in front, I mean, there's only 2 seconds up to P5, and he's sitting in P10. Any kind of contact up in front means he's going to be given an opportunity here, and he's just going to have to be the one to avoid it, really, because it's probably going to blow up right in his face if that is the case. But again, there's a couple of RDSAs, like Yannis Albert, Thomas Pugh, as they battle now for 7th and 8th. Really, really difficult to pick your way into the right places. Albert's going to make sure he gets himself into the top 7, but Pugh's not giving this one up just yet.
Oh, they're trying to side draft each other that little bit there. Thomas Pugh down the inside of the McLaren, nice and committed there into Hawthorne, but look at that, Yannis Albert goes for the cutback, doesn't work. He's now under attack himself from Arthur Thurtle. Dan Handover, great move that by Yannis Albert. He runs a little bit wide on the exit, and look there at Daniel Handover's opportunism just behind. He goes down the inside of the Porsche of Arthur Thurtle, catches him off guard. Great move by the race 1 winner. Lovely progress made there by Dan Handover. That was exactly what we've been talking about, waiting for the move to come to you and then just pounce when the moment arises. That was absolutely mega. Let's see that again.
Yeah, and you can see the car in front just trying to pick the right line to make his own move on the 2 cars in front, and Handover being able to sit back, which will all unfold in front of him, and make the best decision possible. It's gained him a spot. It's got him into a good position to go after Hugh and Albert for the 2nd time in this race. Thurtle's been not in this race, but tonight. Andrew Thurtle's been overtaken by Daniel Handover.
Yeah, you won't be happy with that one. That'll certainly be a good tick in the box of the ego of Dan Handover. Battle going on further down. Whoa, goodness me. Ricardo Luis Pereira and Aidan Millward having a ding-dong there. Thomas Pugh is now losing places. I think he might have had maybe a slowdown or something. Side by side with the Lamborghini there. They've got the Porsche trying to squeeze through as well. That's Josh Benson. Flash of the headlights by Dan Handover as well. So maybe some drama there has caused a bit of upset for some of these guys. Let's have a look. So Handover kisses the back of Pugh's McLaren. Does he go into the back of him? What happens? Oh, Pugh has a bit of a wobble. I think Dan was just flashing the lights just to try and annoy the driver in front. Wasn't any contact, was there?
No, he was able to just make his way through. And maybe it was just the fear of having Daniel Handover right behind you, forcing the mistake. I doubt it, but there you go. It's always an option. He's in P8, just behind Yannis Albert right now, and that's going to be a key battle to watch. They've got about a second and a half up to Lucchese, who is somehow running on his own a bit in terms of his class position. You've got the top four split by 0.8 of a second. It doesn't really get much closer than that. Surely, I mean, we've only had 10 minutes of the second race. It feels like it's been going on for an hour, but
yeah, it's a long one.
We've got another 20 minutes of it, and if they're already bunching up, and we're already seeing almost ebbs and flows in some of these gaps, you can guarantee it's going to bunch up right towards the end, especially if you've got the likes of Handover and Albert coming through and gaining on the leaders. Yeah,
absolutely, and I've got my eye on this guy as well, as I often do. Adam Watson at the moment in 5th place overall. He's got Jean Brayton back behind him, 7/10 back. Then Luke Lucchese another second behind him. And Adam's just done the fastest lap of the race as well on that previous lap. So he's in the box seat right now to try and spoil this quartet in front of him, because the lead pair of Vulcan Motorsports Mercedes have not gone anywhere. It's Serdplug leading from Winczewski. It'd be lovely for them to get a 1-2, but it's not going to be in the style that they would have wanted to do it in if they score that 1-2 finish, because they'd have wanted to show everybody, look, yes, we may have lucked in a little bit with the reverse grid in a car that's not got the pace tonight, but you know, we've been able to dive away from everybody. They've sort of been held onto. It's like there's a bungee cord on the back of Winczewski's car holding Hayden Miller there. And all the while, I mean, just look at the distance covered by Adam Watson on this single lap. Let's look at the lap times as they cross the line now. 121.8 by our race leader. 122.0, 22.1, 22.1, 121.4 by Adam Watson. So he was 0.4 of a second faster than the race leader on that lap. And a good, well, 7/10 quicker than each of the other 3 cars on that lap as well. So Adam in that BM is absolutely flying. Again, it's a car that's god ugly but rapid.
Yeah, and also oh my goodness me, inside line now. Well, he's rapid and he's also making moves. P4 now,
wow,
ahead of Connison, and the Norwegian's going to have to sit in P5. I was going to mention that it was Jonas Albert who set an even faster lap last time by than Adam Watson, 0.6 faster, 21.4 as well. He's in P7 and only now 4 seconds off the lead. What a send! Again, when you're running in a train and you're happy to sit where you are, you can almost get lulled into a false sense of security that the cars behind are going to do the same. Adam Watson's rocked up to the back, seen what's happening, and immediately made a move, and the others now had to be concerned.
Yeah, I think he was well aware that if he sits behind for that like a long period of time, one, he's going to get caught up by the likes of Jean Brayton back and Luke Lucchese behind him, but also he needs to sort of catch them off guard. They would just wait for him to sit there. Adam is not backwards and going forwards, and the McLaren in front of him is defending very, very hard now. This could help Vulcan Motorsports for that 1-2 finish. Adam having to really move around, and Tonneson not wanting to give up an inch. Round the outside into Paddock Hill Bend doesn't often work, Adam, but if anyone's going to make it work, it will be Adam Watson. He is a delightfully fast racer, sometimes a little bit too aggressive for his own good. He gets in trouble, I tell him that everywhere he goes, but he is a joy to watch sometimes, and when he's on a mission like this, it can be absolutely epic stuff. Looks like Serdplug is getting away from Winczewski right now, but let's see if Adam pulls that same move again, shall we? Down the inside into Surtees, sends it down the inside of Hayden Miller, maybe a little bit too much. Hayden tries to get the cutback on him, but goodness me, that won't have gone down well there, but above all else, he's got the job done.
Yeah, and here comes Tonneson as well. Look at this, to the inside line as they make their way onto this GP loop. Is there a chance for the Norwegian? Yes, it's definitely a chance. He's drifted wide off of the apex. He's got the move done though, and Hayden Miller's gone from 3rd to 5th in the space of 2 braking zones. Watson, it looked like he sent it, you know, fairly so, and if anything, we saw a bit of a turnout from Hayden Miller, not necessarily to avoid the contact, but more out of surprise that there was a car down the inside. Clearly didn't see what happened on the lap before. John Bright back in all of this, just sitting around, trying not to get himself involved, doesn't want to lose himself for what could be a double race win tonight after the opening round going so well, being able to manage where he finished and starting on pole for race number 2. Doesn't really matter that he's dropped down the order overall, because he's still in the lead in the pro class. But yeah, drama. Not even halfway through this race yet. Would you believe?
This is a great race. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Loads going on here. We've got Serdplug leading the way for Vulcan Motorsports. Then it's Ignace Winczewski just ahead of Adam Watson, the top 3 at the moment. Then it's Tonneson, Miller, Lucchese, Albert, Handover, Thurtle and Benson completing the top 10 in the elite class. But leading in the pro class is Jean Brayton back. And right now, he is in 6th place overall, ahead of a number of those elite drivers. Hewlett and Story are not too far apart further down the order, but HSR teammates probably going to try and work together, you'd imagine, to not battle too hard. Well, then again, actually, Hewlett's just lost a bunch of... Oh, no, sorry, he's gotten away from Story. Story lost a bit of time in that last sector or so. He's got the 2 Quatermass Porsches just behind him as well. So he's got that to think about. It's not an easy race for him right now, to say the least. But I think the next battle that we need to keep our eye on and think about is going to be from the back of this Mercedes, Vinciszewski, with Adam Watson in the, well, it's the unstoppable force, isn't it, really, in that Altitude 3M Esports BMW. But he's bringing Tonneson with him.
He is, and yeah, this is going to be interesting, really, to see how Watson manages to deal with the Vinciszewski's conundrum. Of course, being a rear gunner at the moment for Plurg is not going to help out Adam Watson, but he's made up 11 places on the field so far. Mind the 12th and the 13th to get him a race win, but that is far easier said than done. Also, whilst all this has been going on, Handover is through on Albert up into the top 7. He's now moved his way into a place where he can try and chase after Breitenbach, Miller, Tonneson. Of course, he's now P6 in class. That's a really good place for him to be in, and he now holds the fastest lap of the race, which was previously held by Adam Watson. So clearly those two moving their way back up the field and showing why they finished 1-2 in race 1.
Yeah, definitely. They're really putting in some epic pace right now. Daniel Handover, a little bit of breathing room around him, but it's only 5/10 one way and 4/10 the other. John Breitenbach is the next car for him to overtake. I don't know what it is about Dan's car. It just looks faster than everybody else's. It's just crazy how fast it just flies through Hawthorne, then Westfield. Arthur Thurtle and Luke Lucchese still stuck together. Arthur will be frustrated after his mistake in the earlier race. He's even lost places in this one as well. 3 places down from where he started here in race 2. So certainly not the night that he would have hoped for, especially after qualifying on pole position for race 1. But that's how it goes, though, isn't it? That's what keeps the championship interesting. You very often see that the car that qualifies fastest at the beginning of the night doesn't always have the smoothest run of the green through both of the races themselves. At the end of the day, they're the ones that score the points.
They are indeed, and you know, points on the board early on into the
Oh,
season.
drama! Watson's around, and he's gone backwards. Hayden Miller's involved. Daniel Handover had to get on the brakes and stay out of that. Sorry, Dara, but he all of a sudden was just the wrong way completely. I'm not sure if Adam's gone in a little bit hot or something and tried it. As Luke Lucchese. Luke Lucchese's off. I think he's got damage. What on earth was that about? Luke Lucchese ends up going straight on. I'll try and find the move and see what happened here. Unfortunately, as a byproduct of all of the timing moving around a lot, it goes a bit messy. Let's have a look.
Yeah, here's Hayden Miller then. Down towards the opening corner, up in towards Druids. Is there a big contact? Oh, there's a lot of contact. Tonneson looked for the inside line. That was never going to work. Then Hayden Miller tried to go up the inside. Then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 bits of contact. Hayden Miller then goes around. Everyone's going to find their way through. It's carnage, chaos, capitulation in the end for Adam Watson. But this is it again from Miller. You can see Tonneson shaping for that inside line move, and then is that a late move? Is it an early turn in? I'll argue about it after the race, but there's 1, 2, there's the third, and that's what sends around the car. But they couldn't I mean, there was a 4th bit there. They just couldn't get off of each other there, could they? Yeah,
I think you picked it up right that it was a bit of a late move by Adam. I mean, Tonneson, you know, he dived to the inside quite late, but I think Adam's responding move was a bit late, and then after the contact he then cut back across the apex, not knowing there was a car there again. I don't necessarily think that Hayden Miller did anything wrong there. It was more the force feedback. He was clearly on a direct drive wheel with the way that it was moving around, but that correction from that force feedback was sort of throwing the car back into Adam, and he couldn't really do anything at all. It's a big shame. It's good that they've both still been able to carry on, but Adam Watson with his tail between his legs a bit now, either that or red mist completely in 11th place. Still 3 places up from where he started the race, but the result sheet, if he ends up there, will not tell the full story of how well Adam's done in this race. Here's a result sheet I want to look at, and all as down the inside, Luke Lucchese takes to the grass to overtake Mikey Story, and now Mike Barber comes down the inside of the Mustang as well. Flipping heck, sort it out, boys.
Yeah, and 11 minutes of this chaos still to go. And Mike Barber just about getting himself into the top 13. Lucchese, the one in front of him, don't think he would have expected to see that a few minutes ago. But now Lucchese's the one who's trying to chase after what could be a top 10. And currently gatekeeping, I should say, the top 10 is Adam Watson, who shouldn't be there as well after what we saw earlier. So, yeah, really, really weird to see how this race has turned on its head 2-3 times. All the while, Plurg and Vinciszewski have just kept it calm out in front and kept going. Miller under pressure from Handover now, looking for a top 4 after struggling in the early stages here, but it does feel like Handover and Albert now with the two drivers with the most pace trying to come through the field. As Watson has dropped down to the back of the top 10. Miller goes defensive. He's been done once to the inside there already in this race. Not going to be done again, but it's just going to allow Handover a better run out of the corner here, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Daniel moves to the middle of the road, leaves his options open as they get up towards Hawthorne. Hayden Miller comes back over to the left, says no thank you. Yannis Albert is going to have a great view of this as well. He's looking, Daniel moves one way then the other, just showing some intent. I don't think he needs to do that, to be honest. It's very clear what he wants to do, and that's get ahead of the Scotsman Hayden Miller. Even putting his nose down the inside of Sheen curve. That is brave. Maybe even a little bit too brave there as Hayden Miller runs wide. That's not going to help anyone. Yannis Albert says, fine, if you're going to stick your nose down there, I'm going to do it as well. Sort of proving a point. I think that was a bit of a message sent there by Yannis to Daniel. He's saying, look, this is what you're achieving. Like, what are you doing? You don't need to do that. As Josh Benson bounces off the side of Arthur Thurtle. Down the inside goes Justin Elos. Lamborghini. Oh, he doesn't know he's there. He's too busy flashing the lights. Stop flashing your lights and get on with it, Josh. I don't think he did anything wrong. You can see a bit of red mist, not just on the livery, but in his head as well, as now Elof loses 2 places. Adam Watson back down the inside. He then gets blocked off on the inside. He's not going to like that with the Porsche parking it in front of him. Epic racing between these guys, but I don't know about you, Dara, but when it comes to headlight flashing in response, I don't see the point. You know, what does it do? It does absolutely nothing. It really annoys me to see it. I need to keep my head on. So do they.
Barely see it. Barely see it in the wing rows as well, can't you?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter.
More for us, I think, just to let them know that they're annoyed. It was without saying anything.
Yeah, fair.
But yeah, Miller just about going to hold on ahead of Handover. Crazy, really, to see that just complete change in that group of cars. And from Hayden Miller back to Justin Elof, in all of that, there's still 2 seconds.
Yeah.
4th to 10th. It's an absolute chaos train right now. Justin Elof towards the back of it in his Lamborghini, and Alberto was the front of it in his Lamborghini. But yeah, this is going to run right to the end of the race, and the more that these guys fight, the more they drop off of the leaders, the more space that the likes of Tonneson gets to get a podium. Who, he's been in the wars a fair share tonight himself, but at the moment looking like he's going to be able to keep it relatively calm. Handover and Albert fought for a second there. It's just chaos at the moment. I think it was sorted out well before the corner, or may have even been a timing page moment. But you can see 21.3 for Tonneson. You know, high 21s, low 22s for everybody else on that train.
Yeah, it's very, very good, isn't it, for Tonneson. Showing us some great pace right now in the 113 machine. Serge Plurg still leading this race, though. I tell you what, the Vulcan boys will be driving this race thinking, God, this has been a boring one. And then they'll watch the broadcast back, hopefully, and they'll think, flipping out, what did we miss? Like, it just, everything imploded in on itself in the background while we drove away at the front of the pack. But Tonneson, he's the only one that's sort of consistently stuck with these guys. He's gained 3 places from where he started. Daniel Handover's gained 10, which is even more impressive because Dan has done this very cleanly so far, it's safe to say. It's been a beautiful drive through the order, but to gain 10 places up into the top 5 is a great feat in a championship that's as competitive as this. Yannis Albert has gained 6 as well, not taking anything away from him. Josh Benson's gained 5. Adam Watson's still gained 5 despite the dramas that he's had. That shows how good a race he was having up to that point. But still, there's 7 minutes nearly left to go. We need to talk about the pro class as well, because there's 4 seconds between John Breitenbach and Craig Hewlett. There is the gap to McLaren's first and second. Mike Story has got Kalle Leskinen behind him in the BMW. Do I dare look at the front of it? There it is. But at the moment, Kalle, again, 4 places gained in his class. He's having a good drive. Hewlett's gained 5 overall. So there's some wonderful, consistent drives here, but it's hard to notice them sometimes with so many big hitters having dramatic races on the flip side.
Yeah, and for Leskinen, I think, as well, he's shown some really good pace over the last couple of seasons, so no real surprise to see him climbing up the order. Maybe would have wanted himself to be more competitive early on in the championship, to maybe go for those wins in the opening couple of weeks, but he is still showing a bit of class and will get some good points if he is able to stay inside of that top 4. But yeah, it's a little bit more sedate in that pro class, it's fair to say. You know, when you've got that battle as close as it is in the elite class, and really with elites and pros filtering between themselves the further back you get, it creates a couple of slightly bigger gaps between the drivers. And there you can see a couple, Breitenbach and Hewlett, actually now next to each other on the road, despite there being 4.5 seconds between them. Story and Leskinen could be fighting soon, but then there's that gap back to Danny Phillips, and then further back, as you get outside of that top 30, you do get to see more of a mix of those pros and of those elite drivers. But yeah, it really has been a really good display, I think, not just for the championship, but for this series as well, to show what this series can produce. Only a couple of little incidents, not big ones, and generally very clean racing all the way through the race. And the amount of action we've had, and the track as narrow as this, really is so impressive.
Yeah, definitely. I think the fact that, with no disrespect to the drivers at all, the fact that this has been so clean tonight as well speaks volumes. There's great respect between these guys, and there might be a little discussion in the Discord afterwards, but it's competition at the end of the day. Not everybody's always going to be happy with every single driver's result. It's just how it goes. It's hard racing. Another quick shout out to our championship sponsors, Trophy AI, SimCoach, Kame, GP2 Group, and a shout out to Motorsport UK Esports as well. The Evolution Sim Racing community has been recommended as it's been recognised as a recommended community by the Motorsport UK Esports brand. It's great to have their support for the wonderful GT3 racing that we've got on show here. And I mean, when you see a bit of it like this, to be fair, Dara, it's hardly surprising, is it?
No, not at all. And again, in ESR generally, it's great to see new series providing this kind of action. Not just in GT3s, but in GT4s in the European GT Championship as well. And we've seen others, TCRs in the past, here in ECR in the last year as well. We've had such great racing all the way through. And when you get these drivers that have been around for quite some time, they know who they're racing, they know how to race each driver individually because they've got so used to them. And even when we get new drivers in, they're of such high quality that they can just drop into the championship as if they've been here for such a long time. And Tonneson definitely one of those, looking to try and get to a vintage jet skis. The driver's not been around the longest of times, but he's been around long enough that we know how potent he can be, along with his teammate Berg. But Tonneson, really impressed by him tonight, getting away from that group of cars in the last 10 minutes or so, gaining towards these top two, and on pace. Difficult to make the move in the last 3 minutes, but we're definitely on pace to be fighting for this win, even if he can't get through with the Chevskis.
Yeah, he's done a fantastic job, really consistent, and again, like you were saying before, Dara, that's what wins championships, consistency. You could win 5 races in a season, but if you DNF in all of them, go for a proper trees or trophies approach, then you're not going to win a championship. But with consistency, doing a Turkington, as we often say, the comparison from the British Touring Car Championship very often comes between Ash Sutton and Colin Turkington, although Ash in the last few years has cleaned it up as Adam Watson cleans up there. A little mistake by Josh Benson. Boom, somehow slips that housing block of a BMW through on the inside, and Benson has to sit on behind. Could have said Benson boom. Still, Hayden Miller is constantly watching his rearview mirror. He had a very busy race earlier with a lot of wiggles and offs and incidents, but right now he's doing a fantastic job at holding off race 1 winner Daniel Handover. And it's not like Daniel hasn't been sending it. Look, there's the move down the inside. Hayden's going to carry the pace around the outside. Can he get enough up to Druids to hold on? I don't think he will, but watch him as they come back down the hill. Yannis Albert isn't able to slot back in. Daniel Handover gets it done. I think Hayden Miller's going to try and come back at him here. I think he's winding this up as, you're going to send it, I'm going to send it. I don't know though. Daniel's got a great run out of Graham Hill Bend. Nicely done though, that, wasn't it, Dara? Lovely clean move, and hats off to Hayden as well. It's not easy to hang it round the outside there and still give enough room, as Albert says thank you.
Yeah, it'll almost certainly be the cap for these two, 4th and 5th, if Albert can get his move done on Hayden Miller. Just stepping back a little bit now as the Scotsman, a little bit of door-to-door banging as well, but he gets down the inside. You really have to have full commitment and quite a lot of the car ahead around the outside to keep that move, and Albert finding that out, and almost like those eyes are intensifying because he tries to get this move done in the last couple of laps here, because Handover likely gone up the road. He's not going to get through on Miller and Handover without a mistake from race 1's winner, but Handover cap made at P4. Albert's cap clearly going to be P5 here if he can find it, but from where he was starting on the grid, it'd be a fantastic result and good for his championship aspirations as they come to the white flag now.
Yeah, they do indeed. As I very often remind my good friend Francois Brandet, the French military flag is waved. Serge Plurg has done a cracking job of leading this race very cleanly from the get-go. I'll say get-go, he still had to get past Vinciszewski and get past Breitenbach as well, who is still holding on to his leading class, by the way. 5.6 seconds now back to Craig Hewlett. It's been a little bit stale since then in the pro class. Kalle Leskinen has dropped behind Harry Langford. He's actually formed a bit of a buffer now for Mikey Story. and is giving Story potential to get his second podium of the night. It will be the same podium in the Pro class if it stays how it was. It was Breitenbach, Story, Hewlett before. Now it's going to be Breitenbach, Hewlett, Story. So I'm sure all those guys will be pleased with that. But can Tonneson do anything about Winczewski in these last moments, do you think?
No, I'm going to be honest. I don't think it's going to happen. There's only a couple of corners. You can only pick it up so much, can't you?
Yeah.
Jonathan's going to have a go at it, but he's going to be, I think, leaving a little bit too much to do into the final corner. Unless he sends it, you can never rule it out.
He has a look. He tries to scare him, but it's not going to work. It's going to be a great result considering the Mercedes tonight for Serd Plurg. He's going to take the win in the second race of the night. 1-2 with his teammate from Vulcan Motorsports. Ignace Winczewski second. Eidvin Tonneson is next up ahead of Dan Handover. Then Hayden Miller beats Yannis Albert, Arthur Thurtle, Adam Watson, Josh Benson, Justin Eloff across the line. And at the back of that, Jean Breitenbach takes another one. He'll be over the moon. 2 wins out of 2 tonight. Second place goes to Craig Hewlett in the class. HSR Esports second and third, with Story in third place. Very well done to the guys. More battles across the line. Leskinen and Fraser close together. Pereira and Phillips were only separated by about a tenth of a second to the line. What about this a bit further back? Tristan Dinnebrega trying to get one over on Ben Bennyworth to round out the action here this evening.
You get it done, we'll have to wait and see. Quadermass against RDSA, 2 teams that are very much established now in ESR. One more corner for Dinnebrega to find this move if he can get it done. There will still be points for P17, but not the kind of points that he'd want to have at all.
Hello.
Make it if he gets the move either way, because Bennyworth's of course in the Pro class. It's going to be side by side across the line though. I think Bennyworth's just about going to hang on. He'll get P15, Dinnebrega P17, but on that last lap Dinnebrega full second faster.
Yeah, fantastic stuff by Dinnebrega in terms of the pace at the end, but not the result he would have wanted. These guys, I mean, they'll be sighing a sigh of relief after that, I think, in the Mercedes Vulcan Motorsports, first and second. That's how you play the game, though, isn't it, though, Dara? You have to turn it round. You have to make the format work tonight. Jean Breitenbach has certainly done it, but these guys, after having a bit of a nightmare in that first race and not the results they were looking for, have made this second race of the night absolutely theirs. They have grabbed it by the proverbials, and a 1-2 is definitely something that you want as a team early on in the championship. That'll give them a real boost of confidence, I think.
Yeah, they're going to be really, really happy, I think. And for Vulcan as well, they just about, they were involved in that big title battle for the teams last season with the likes of RDSA in there as well. But they came into this season as one of the favourites. Not the easiest opening round for them. But here, even despite a difficult opening 30 minutes, have been able to come out of this with a 1-2. Points on the board, really important for them. And yeah, they're going to have to be pleased with that. And good confidence to take into next week at Fuji as well.
Yeah, definitely. Fuji is going to be a spicy one, to say the least. We'll have a look at some results then for the second race of the night, as there's Jean Breitenbach. Let's just have a look at Jean, actually, as he does some donuts in the McLaren. He's clouted it into the wall a few times, but I don't think he cares at this stage of the night. Jean clearly very happy, and it's nice to see him on the top step, isn't it, though, Dara? Because he's been working hard for that a long, long time in this championship and in this series, so he'll be really, really pleased.
Yeah, he absolutely is. Definitely deserving of it. And he's, yeah, again, been around so long, knows the championship well, and you know the games he played at the end of race 1 really demonstrate that, don't they?
Absolutely. I can tell you there's a few words being said in the Discord right now. Some of the drivers not too happy after that one, despite us two having a fantastic time here in the commentary box. Serd Plurg and Winczewski had a great time at the top of the order there, first and second, with Eidvin Tonneson in third place for Beta Frost. We then had Daniel Handover in fourth. That completes a good night for him in terms of championship points. Hayden Miller was fifth, ahead of Yannis Albert and Arthur Thurtle. We then had Adam Watson in 8th, ahead of Josh Benson and Justin Eloff. Luke Lucchese ended up 11th, with Mike Barber 12th, Harry Langford 13th, Thomas Pugh 14th, and John McLuhan in 15th. Tim Perry only gets 16th place in the end after a rough race. Tristan Dinnebrega, same as well. Lewis Kenyon is 18th, ahead of Andrew Dawson and Luke King. Those two are a lap down. And then the non-finishers, Jens Ditchbury and Marius Hibmer, did not take the start of the race. And how about it, Dara, with the pro results?
Well, it was rinse and repeat for John Breitenbach. He won once again for the BBQ Bread Racing team. He won by 6 seconds in the end. No positions between himself and Craig Hewlett, just like it was in race 1. But he didn't have to back off to get this one done and dusted. Mikey Story, P3, he'll be happy, and HSR as well. Should be delighted with the second and the third. Callie Leskinen rose to 4th in the end. The number 1, showing why he has the number 1 on his car. Liam Fraser in P5 ahead of Gerald Fury, the second of the South Africans. A 5th and a 6th for him tonight. Chris Jennings, Ricardo Luis Pereira just ahead of Danny Phillips, less than 2/10 ahead of Danny Phillips, mind you, and Aidan Millwood running at the top 10. Then a bit of a big gap back to Jakob Krafek, who wasn't a million miles ahead of Josh Winnes and Lewis Hunter for 12th and 13th. Jonathan Murphy and Ben Bennyworth were in the top 15 with John Gonzalez, the only other driver on the lead lap. Archie Craven and James Hayworth a lap down, finishing in 17th and 18th, and they were joined on that accolade by Robin L. Brown, Macaulay Watkins, Marcel Breitenbach, and Robin Milton, along with Christopher Starsmore. We then also had Adam Wilson-Weir 4 laps down, disappointing for him. Josh Ostick, if you combine his 2 results, 14 laps down tonight. He's had a torrid evening. David Hutchison and James Robertson didn't really get going in that race, 26th and 27th. They'll come back next week.
Yeah, they'll definitely be hoping for more from the next one. That's to say the least. Going to try and find ourselves a bit of footage now to go back to. Rather than have the actual formation lap, we'll try and find the green flag, but with all of the different position changes and everything that you get on the formation lap, it's hard to dig into. Let's get some music on, shall we, and then we'll have a couple of interviews with the drivers. Going to speak to 3 of them this evening, and we'll go in alternate order, shall we, Dara? We'll grab one apiece, and then we'll fight to the death over the last one. Let's have a quick word then, will we, with our race 2 winner, Serd Plurk, and offer our congratulations. You must be pretty relieved after that one, to be fair, mate. The Mercedes didn't look like it was the car to be in tonight, but you made it work.
Yeah, I'm so happy. I did not expect it because the car had no pace at all. I don't know what they did with the update, but the BOP is terrible for this car.
I was going to say, we always sort of liken the engine in that car to a nuclear bomb under the bonnet, and wrangling it around is not easy, but it seemed like it was a little bit more difficult this time round. I mean, talk us through how it tends to play.
Well, in practice I felt really good. The car felt super stable compared to my teammate. We're basically doing the same lap times, and then we got in quali and we were so slow and we did not know why. In the race also, the car was a rocket ship on the straight, but in the corner we just couldn't keep up. So we're really thinking about changing cars because we cannot go on with this, unfortunately.
Well, you heard it here first, everybody. So we'll look at what that may be. It's a shame though, because the Vulcan livery, I mean, it looks great on everything, but looks even more brilliant on the Mercedes. So it'd be a shame to see it go. How are you feeling about Fuji next time out? It's a circuit that's very difficult to get right, isn't it?
Yeah. I have not done many laps. I think I've done most of my laps on the LMP2, so we see how different the track for it is. But usually I really like the track, so we'll see.
Well, we look forward to seeing it, Serd. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you
go? To my team, Vulcan Motorsports, as we're an upcoming team. We're really trying to find new team members, and the team boss is brilliant. He's an absolute legend.
Cracking stuff. Great to hear from you, mate. Thank you very much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing what we've got in store at Fuji.
Thank you. Bye.
Serd Plurk there, taking race 2 of the night. A very, very solid result indeed. He'll be pleased, and as we heard there, Dara, he was certainly relieved. But now it's time to speak to the man that won the first race of the night. We've joined him mid-conversation. He never shuts up anyway. It's Dan Handover.
Hello. Yeah, Dan, welcome in. Congratulations, first of all. That race 1 win, really impressive. Obviously, after a bit of a battle early on, slipping down to P3, rising back to the lead of the race. Talk us through, really, that second race there, because there was a lot more action in there. How was it getting through the pack? You made some really opportunistic moves, but it was difficult, wasn't it?
I'm glad you used opportunistic. I don't know if others would use that word, but no, the thing is everyone knows Brands, right? Everyone knows Brands is an inherently difficult track to overtake. There's an element where you have to not force a move, but you do have to be a little bit more forward. To be perfectly honest, I was actually quite surprised where I finished. I know pace was there, obviously, but getting through at Brands is very tough. Ultimately, though, I mean, it worked. It was just everyone was very clean. Everyone gave room, which is a huge thing as well, right? So, there's definitely part of it where Don't get me wrong, it was nice to make those moves, but also everyone actually being, fair and respectful in that race too was also really good.
And of course, so many positives for you to take coming off of this one. Where do you feel like the biggest positives are going to be going into next week at Fuku?
I think just overall confidence. This is the second race I've really done. I jumped in practice, having not driven since last week, and I just haven't had a chance to do that much driving. So Brands is always a track that I seem to do well on. Brands just works for me, and which is obviously really, really good for a confidence boost. What I'm hoping now is I've really learned quite a lot about how these cars drive post BOP, and just really getting a good understanding of what works, what doesn't, what you need to do, what you can't do. So I think going into Fuji now, I'm not going to be as fast, possibly. I know there's some really quick guys in here, but I think top fives is now where I'm looking for.
Yeah, and that's still a decent place to be, and definitely good for you going into the championship next week as well. Before we let you go, Dan, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Just everyone from ESR doing a really, really good job, and yeah, that's honestly just everyone. It's been really, really good fun. It's nice to get back into racing again, and you guys as well for the broadcast.
Thank you, Dan. Congratulations on your race winner. Good luck for 7 days' time.
Cheers, thank you.
Dan Andover there. Good to get him in the box, and good to have both of the elite winners in, because you don't have that problem in pro. There's only the one man, Chaz.
Yeah, there is indeed, but still, I'm sure that he's going to be very, very happy when we speak to him. Sean Breitenbach joins us with 2 race victories to his name tonight. You must be absolutely buzzing with that one, mate. We were admiring the livery earlier on, and now we've got even more reason to look at it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I am quite happy with that. Obviously, in some way, I'm a little bit sad that I'm one class lower, but with the strength of field that we have here at the moment, yeah, I'll take anyone in any class I can get at the moment.
I was going to say, I mean, don't beat yourself up over it, because it's still a ridiculously competitive class in pro. It's one of those wonderful things where anybody could win at any time. You never quite know who's going to come into a race meeting and have incredible pace, who's going to be off the pace, and then you've got to think about the car choices on top of that as well. So, it must be quite the confidence boost. Was it what you were expecting coming into the season?
Maybe I was hoping for at least some good results, but I also knew that Matt is in this class. Matt, unfortunately, not here tonight. I guess he's in a field somewhere in Silverstone, enjoying himself. But yeah, I always knew at the very least, like, if even with just him in the class, like, I would have a big fight on my hand. Like last season as well in Elite, we were fighting quite often, so I would never expect an easy season, very much.
Well, it's certainly going to be an interesting one, and one of the most interesting of all rounds is next time at Fuji. What are your thoughts about going there?
Fuji is one of my favorite ones. I think it's where I've had some of my best results in the past, especially if it gets a little bit wet. Marcel also, they normally gets quite a bit of a pace increase, so quietly optimistic for a good race.
Well, quietly optimistic indeed. We'll bear that in mind when we're watching. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go, John?
Just to Marcel, as always. It's great to race with him on Thursdays. A bit of father-son time. Yeah, so just a shout out to him.
Fantastic stuff. Things you love to see, mate. Well done again on the double victory tonight, and we look forward to speaking to you at Fuji.
Cool. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Well, what a guy. What a guy. I always thought they were brothers, not father and son. That's even cooler. So, father and son, Jean and Marcel Breitenbach tonight competing together. And a double win for Barbecue Bread Racing. He'll be really pleased, like we say. I mean, he sounded a little bit disheartened at the fact that he's in a class lower, as he put it tonight. But still, you've got to get the thing across the line and win. So what a great job.
Oh, exactly. And there's absolutely every single positive to take for him. And, 2 race wins, maximum points, really. I mean, he's put himself in a great position to not just do well in the championship, but then try and get himself back into that top group of drivers. So, yeah, really good night for him. Let's see if he can keep it up in 7 days' time.
Absolutely. Well, that unfortunately is all we've got time for here tonight on Evolution Sim Racing. We hope you've enjoyed the show, everybody. Certainly been a blast. Great to be back on the channel, and great to finally work alongside you as well, Dara. Had a fantastic time, and I look forward to the rest of the season. One more quick thanks to all of the championship sponsors that we have on board. Thanks to Trophy AI, SimCoach, GP2 Group and Kame, and also to Motorsport UK Esports for considering the Evolution Sim Racing Championship for the recommended Recommended Community Award from Motorsport UK Esports. Thanks to all the drivers, organisers, my co-commentator Dara Thacker. You've been listening to Chaz Draycott as well on Evolution Sim Racing. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again very, very soon.
For the upcoming right-hander, brake 30 meters later and ease off the pressure.